Okay, let's do the usual check and see if we've got, if we've got audio on the thing. The clips, VODs, things. Hold on. I'm in the process of waking the fuck up. Oh man. Let's see. Clip. Wait, no, how does this work? Where's mine? Clip that. There we go. Yep. Coffee, banana, and hyped by a zombie. The thing. The clips, VODs, things. Hold on. I'm in the process of waking the fuck up. I hear audio, cool. We are good. I broke something. Whoops. Not even gonna close that. Boop. Boop. I'm in the right category. Hope you're doing well, Shanks. Do that. Do that. Then when we get closer, I will boost up the decibels. Yeah. I did the enable thing on the dashboard. It should be good. There's not much else I can do about that. I'll check one more time real quick to make sure I did. Just to be sure. Which dashboard? Enable drops, and then go to path of Exile to early access stream. Enable drops. And we are in the right category by saying we are in Path of Exile 2. Yep, alright. May you post the link? You may post the link indeed. Niz just went live. Alright, cool. We good. We Gucci. Oh man. Yeah, I did not sleep well last night. I don't know why, but I mean, I slept well-ish, but not like really well. Not well enough. Too hyped. A little bit of that, and a little bit of just like every time I have to set an alarm earlier than I'm wanting to wake up to, it always wakes me up like really weirdly. Okay, interesting. And then I remember the arm. Yeah, I am excited. What's the Chamber of Slayers? No, you don't need a framer. Just post away, man. We don't have any links disabled or anything like that. We just simply have the word viewers blocked because of spam bots. That is quite the waifu. Very nice. Would sit on gun again. That's definitely not a euphemism. It's a huge flying gun. I see that. I see that. That is one big flying gun. Okay. Let me see. My mouse recharged. I forgot when you update BIOS, it turns off the passive USB. Now my mouse isn't recharged yet. Yeah, I need to. So I know I bought the CPU from Micro Center now. Just stopping by to say hi. Hello, Bits. I know I bought it from Micro Center, and I know when I bought it. The problem is my account on Micro Center does not have the receipt for it. So I need to get a hold of Micro Center, and I don't know why. It's got receipts for everything but this one purchase. So I need to get a hold of them and see if they can figure out why they don't have a receipt for it. It can't, yeah, I know, right? So I know the date, and I know the amount, and I know the card used. So hopefully that's enough that they can figure out why that receipt isn't on my account. Everything else is, like, the next day purchase of a new case and a fan that I needed because I was transferring to my sister's system and all that stuff, that's all on there. Like, everything's on there but this one receipt. And the other problem is I don't have the box, so the only way for me to get the RMA number is to open my computer and take the heatsink off, which is an absolute nightmare because of the size of the heatsink. So, yeah, great. I'll have to do that. Oh, and in Stalker 2 news, A-Life, which is their anomaly open system for spawning creatures and things, it's not in the game. That's the reason everything is empty. A-Life is actually just not, for some reason, functional. The reason the entire world is empty is that their simulation system is actually not working at all. They've acknowledged that they know that there's something wrong with it and it's supposed to be working. Because in Stalker, the first ones, if you stand and stare at a hill, eventually somebody will walk over that hill because there's roaming NPCs and things are happening. That system was supposed to be revamped and improved. It just doesn't exist. Alien has no functional AI. And then combat AI is also broken. So not only do they not have a spawn system, which is their A-Life system, their combat AI is also broken. It instantly spawns, knows your location, and is able to track you down when losing visual line of sight. So the reason that mobs are just busting through doors, doing a fucking 360 no-scope and shooting you in the face with a shotgun is because they actually know where you are at all times. So the only way for a mob to appear right now in Stalker is for it to spawn in your line of sight and shoot you. That's... Yeah, the AI is very much cheating, so... That's goobs. Aloe vera to you too. So yeah, I don't know. I'm probably gonna keep playing, what I'm probably gonna do today is we're gonna do this, because this is, what, 90 minutes? We'll do this, 90 minutes... Yabber away, see all the new stuff. I did not, Goobs, no. Yabber away for all the things that we see, and then I'll probably take a break around 6 my time. Go eat, go do that stuff, and then we'll come back and probably keep playing Stalker. I'll give Stalker one more day. See if it's too jank to play. Because a part of me is maybe I should wait until A-Life gets turned on or figured out, because they're very different experiences with and without it. But I don't know. No, what was the emote? Finish Drova. Well, I want to play Matchless more. We can finish Drova. We have the Brotato DLC. I can play, if we don't keep playing Stalker. So there's plenty of stuff to do. Yeah, that's the thing, Kaiser. I don't know. There's a part of me that also is I can just play Stalker with the way that it is right now and just fucking go Rambo on that shit, run and gun, pew pew pew, and have a good time. So I totally could do that, but I'm not entirely sure on the merits of how that would work. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not entirely sure as to what the best plan is. Should I move my webcam down to the bottom, or is that going to cover up the life globe? Do we need to see the life globe? Is there anything in the bottom left? I'm trying to think. Is there anything in the bottom left that might get in the way? I don't think there's going to be. Cover the globes. Yeah, I think there's not going to be anything on the bottom left. A Poe position? No, because that's going to be dead center. Because I don't know, because if they're going to showcase bosses and stuff, that's all center content. And then text as well. Yeah, I'm gonna go down here. And then I'll just move chat to above my head. This will be fine. This shouldn't. All I'm covering here is the life globe, and then maybe I might cover the Flask UI here. Does unlock layer? Someone in chat say something. Where's chat appear here? Does chat appear here? Okay, you're there. Okay. Alright, I'll use this one for now. I'll use this layer because this layer I can move myself wherever I need to. So if I'm in the way of something, I can just go, weep. There we go. Alva's got a bald cap cosplay. I did see that. I did see he is a bald cap. He's bald. He added the... Oh, man. Nice. Good old bald cap cosplay. Okay. Well, Stream Elements is broken today, I see. I have no activity feed from Stream Elements. That's... a good thing, I guess. I just broke. Mimic my power. Yeah, exactly. Man, I'm like excited and also nervous about this. How this is gonna go, cause like how this is gonna be perceived is gonna be two vastly different things, right? Like, yeah. And a lot of viewers to move it around. That would be an interesting way to do it, yeah. But that would be a double encode. Yeah, it looks like it worked that time. But yeah, I guess because of double encoding, they'd never be able to make that work. You could have like an overlay on my side, but that would move the cam for everybody. I should add he's bald. Just to have it. Nah. We don't really mention it too much here. It's always just somebody coming in trying to be a troll, and the last thing you want to do is feed those types of people. True, you don't have to, yeah. I'm gonna electric boogle over hand wings. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. But I am bald, I know. I am bald indeed. Who the fuck knew? I just closed the wrong tab. Damn it. I went to click on something else and close the wrong tab. Now I got two chats open. Damn it. Hold on, let me change that. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm also like super nervous about how it's gonna be perceived. Okay, now I got Stream Elements back. What the overall like reception is for it, because that was me. I'm wondering if it's gonna be the game I played or the game people think it's gonna be, or you know. I mean, fair enough, Guthrie. Yeah, it is. Well, yeah. It would just depend on how the encode would work. Universally praised. I hope it's a good time, yeah, no doubt. I like, that's the thing, I'm excited to play 100%. Potato? No Discord messages. My Discord's not even open. It can't be me. It must have been you. Not too being too hard. Yeah, I think that's honestly what's kind of happened, Nukes, is, and that's kind of the problem with having like oh no, that was Goobs as well. I was like, what disconnected? And then the notification popped up. Yeah, I would say that that's one of the problems of having content creators make content on something that's in development still, is that depending on what, depending on who, what, and how they played, perceived, and their skill level and their ability to do things, when they, you know, when they tested out what was that content, you're gonna have very, very differing opinions coming from just a handful of people. They've shown to us on how they talked about what they want in the game to match sometimes. Right, yeah, and it's like, you know, the example around here has just been like the way I've played it, and the way that people around me played it, and the difficulties of, you know, of that. I already have like 2 different opinions just in that small circle. Yeah, it's really been, it's kind of muddied the way that the game is being perceived right now by different communities, and then if those communities talk with each other, you get even more of a messy situation. So yeah, I'm not entirely the biggest fan of having like early access, of like alpha access content being made on a game that isn't just done by the studio itself. People understand this is an ARPG. I hope so. I fucking hope so. They're done. Oh really? Wild Twitch? Fucking hell. Really? Yeah, I need to figure out how to RMA this thing then. Right, Nukes, yeah. Any Unreal 5 game can have problems, yeah. Yep, I need to RMA this thing. Hopefully I can get it RMA'd and sort that shit out. I don't know what I could replace it with. I mean, they're not gonna fucking give me my money back, so they're just gonna give me another chip. That best case scenario. We'll see, we'll see. At least it might be. Here's another one that this works, right? I know, right? No, true. I don't need a new one. I don't know, maybe they'll slap me down on a pre-order on the 15th gen. Releases today? No. Announcement for the early access release on December or something is today. December 6th, that's what it was. Right, Kaiser. But I can see... Those guns? I can see where that's coming from, realistically, though. Like, I can get the idea that if it's not... Because it's more and more seeming like this is a soft launch, right? That this is a free-to-play game going into a soft launch of the first 3 acts, and people do rightfully have this reason to ask, like, well, if you want to test stuff and you want to get feedback and things like that, why put it behind a paywall? But, no, I get also that the company needs to make money. Really want PUBG to be easier to understand. From what I've played, Nukes, I'd say it is. I'd say it is easier to understand. His viewers tanked hard, right? Right, because yeah. Those who want to invest, true. Yeah, I think Epoch is really bad to watch. Like, straight up. Like, I can watch Matho play, like, Poe, and I can watch... of course, I watch him play Poe, but I can watch him play pretty much any ARPG. Epoch is hard to watch. I don't know why. Epoch, for some reason, is a very difficult watch, no matter, like Epoch. I'm not saying... Yeah, Epoch's fun. I'm not saying Epoch's bad. Like, I enjoy Epoch. I just don't... I think, as far as action RPGs, I think Epoch is the one with the most muted palette and the content on screen is very samey. Where you, as a viewer, it really has nothing that catches your eye. There is nothing. Right, Klepto, and I would agree. D4 has the same issue, not as bad because there are still like the explosions and you know there's a little bit more eye candy here and there. But yeah. Yeah, we're still it's still Poe. Right, Klepto. Yeah, exactly. It is that. Like it is one color palette through and through. I have a bald related question. Sure. Yeah, exactly. Like what you is saying. Like Poe is visually fucking blinding sometimes, right? Like that's the meme around here. We can make builds that literally blind you. I can light my room up with Path of Exile. It's visually very appealing. It may be a chaotic fucking mess and you don't know what's going on, but yeah, it's like... Yeah, even if you don't know what the fuck's going on, shit's exploding and there's colors everywhere. When you don't shave your head for a day or something, when it doesn't become a problem with the headset? No. Hair is not stiff. If your hair is that stiff, I suggest not lathering yourself up in wax. But no, hair's not stiff. But short hair, no, it's still like it's not stiff. Like I have some hair on the top of my head. It's not dent. It's not a dent. It's just where my headphones rest. Like that spot right there. Yeah, it's just red. Right, exactly. You could chisel stone with your hair. I could. You don't find out about Epoch at all? That's fine. Has a bald spot from his headset. I would say that people probably say that it's from the headset, but it's in the same spot as male pattern baldness is, and most people have it identically at the top of their head. So yeah. Hell yeah, well, Twitch. Hopefully they're good. He's in denial. Yeah, I think that's just male pattern baldness, man. You put the coin in. 20 or in, hell yeah. Within one. Honestly, Wild Switch, I bet you they're the exact same cups that I got. You just got them from a different, different route. I'd assume these all come from the exact same fucking factory. There's probably one place that makes these, and they're universally what they are. So. Yeah, exactly, Kaiser, exactly. These are 599s. Did you get them directly from Sennheiser, Klepto? Because they're out now. I had to buy, like, Amazon fake ones. These seems to work, but yeah. I've got 599s. 598s also work. Yeah, okay, you got the same... You got the same ones I did then, yeah. Demon, thank you so much for the 51 months and the tier 3. May Bale curse you all. Is that Baslan? Appreciate that. Yeah, it's if you have Sennheisers, you are pretty much stuck to going to the secondary market. What MT I use? I run mine through my Go XLR. So there's no like specific amp for them beyond that. What is that? It's the thing I use for streaming. That thing. Save the bot? No, the bot will save, yeah. So fancy. That thing's a piece of cheap shit. But yeah. The VOD will be, so the VOD audio track is saved, and what I'll do is I'll probably stream the Path of Exile stuff, and then cut it, go eat dinner, and then come back for Stalker stuff. It's streamer bait, Tato, but it's also the only one that works in this form factor. There isn't something that does what this does on the market yet. Elgato has their thing, and then there's another one that came out afterwards, but when I bought this, this was quite literally the only way to do this, which kind of sucks. Because you need a Go XLR input, output, and input, and then the controls to control audio stuff. It's annoying. Hearing audio but no mic, and both audio and mic go through. Oh, that's weird, Klepto. Huh. Okay, hold on. I need to check one more time. Let's just give this one more check, because that made me paranoid. Let's give this one more check. Output and input, and then the controls to control audio stuff. It's annoying. Hearing audio but no. Okay, we're good. We got audio on the track. Main promoted to main monitor. Alright, we'll reset the player. Let's boost the decibels up by 5. See how the audio is for you guys. If you need me to adjust it, I'll adjust it. Hell yeah, wow, Twitch. No mobile yet. Ouch. Ladder. Just tell me when we get to it. But yeah. The other reason I like the Go Exile is because I have OBS controls your audio, and I can control my audio without bringing up anything. Fair enough, Gibbs. Fair enough. Appreciate that. Yeah. I would love to have it so that I could have... Is this the potato stream? Yes. We have plenty of potato. I would love to have it so that I could... If I ever become a bigger streamer, I would like to have it so that I have a physical deck for all my audio, because I'd much rather have physical audio control, but it's just something that's not going to happen yet. I just think some decent synthesizers. A lot of cable issues with them. Oh, the cables are annoying? Right. How nervous do you think they are? Probably pretty fucking nervous. In all reality. Or yeah, or set up, you know, fucking thousands for that, so. Okay. Boost the audio just a little bit more. We'll go to like 12 decibels. Alright, get your pog faces ready so they have the reactions. 100k viewers on stream? Oh shit.
Sir, just what are we facing here?
A relic of the old world.
The relic!
Captain. We will only get one chance. And remember, when you hear the whispers, call for help. Do not attack!
I wanna attack.
When you hear the whispers, what do you think he was on about?
It's Dorman, right?
Yeah.
Then Dorman, shut your damn mouth. Why do I always get stuck with these?
It's a cinematic.
Hey, the kid's got a mean cleave. Give him a chance.
Quiet.
Hmm?
Holy shit. Yeah, what the fuck happened to the moon? Those guys will whip your ass in Act 1. In the face. I think you got him.
A mean cleave, eh, Captain? Rookie can't even lift his own sword. Captain Oren? Captain?
Well, they're dead.
It's here. Rain! Send the signal!
What the fuck?
Rain! On my back, blade up!
Come on. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
It's a man.
No, it's not.
Well,
Run.
it's the hooded one. It's Diablo. Wait, wrong game. Looks like a guy in a sheet. I'm sorry. Oh.
Captain! Captain!
Well.
Stop! Humanity isn't ready. On your feet, lad.
Sir, the captain,
You'll be fine. Here.
Aw.
What is it?
Well.
Get the body. Stop. Mortal. It can still be contained. You don't know what you have on. Your kind no longer control this world. We cannot destroy your body, it's true. But you will watch as we destroy everything you have built. Bind him!
Aw.
Feed. Grow, my child. I'll make sure you can eat your fill.
Oh. Oh, I know what. Okay. Okay. It's the thingy. Yeah. Okay, I know what that was then. Absolute cinema. That was really well done. Yeah, that was like, dude, if we get one of those for every act.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2.
You sure are.
Now, Path of Exile 2 is going into early access in around 2 weeks on December the 6th. But even though it's early access, this isn't just some small taste. The game is huge. In this
Yeah.
live stream, we're going to be introducing everything you can expect. So without further ado, let's roll the gameplay trailer.
Huge.
Existence is a thing of beauty, precious, but impermanent. Life and death are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another.
The fuck?
The continuation of life must be protected at all costs.
Yeah.
Some have said my methods are brutal. To this, I say, there can be no salvation without sacrifice.
Crunchy. More edge, please. No, that's a hammer. It doesn't have any edges. The skill tree. The scariest thing in Path of Exile. Oh shit, wait, can we get succubuses? I guess I'm gonna be a summoner. Hold up now.
We are faced with the end, and I will do what I must.
Pretty much Slayer, yeah. Oh. I don't know what that was. That was new, though. Is that the mapping system? Yeah. And then that... Okay. He's got a flamethrower. I mean, that was the Atlas passive, I'm assuming.
Obsessed with death. Let them soon be acquainted with it.
He's got that
Now, as
neck
you just
action.
saw, even in early access, Path of Exile 2 is a big game.
Good.
It's actually been 5 years since we announced PoE 2, and over that time we've revealed a lot, but it's been in bits and pieces. It's pretty hard to keep track of it all, so today we're going to do a full rundown of all the content that will be available at the start of early access.
All right, let's do this.
Classes, character progression systems, and for the first time, a full overview of the end game.
All right.
This is going to be a big one, so get comfortable. For 20 years, Rayclast has been free from any sources of corruption, but the Count of Ogham, tempted by promises of power, intends to harness it once more. The dead are rising, monsters are mutating, and madness is spreading.
Madness.
Under the dark influence of corruption, the Count doles out sentences of death to any who would question him.
Run away!
And this is where you find yourself at the start of PoE 2. Explore the dark forests of Ogham. Traverse the barren
No. Wait. What?
prairie desert. And delve into the jungle ruins of Utsal, an ancient Val city. There are challenges.
Okay, it's frozen up already, buddy.
There are challenging monsters, hidden runes, lost camps and treasures, roaming merchants.
Uh-oh.
On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds,
Wait.
and uncover lost civilizations.
No, not now.
But first, you'll need to pick a class. Now, early access will initially have 6 classes available. Let's have a look at them. The Monk is a fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat, and his mechanics involve building up and keeping momentum. Like all classes in PoE 2, you'll want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different combos. To get
No, not now. Not now.
new skills, you will first need to find skill gems. Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE 2. You can choose an existing.
Technical difficulties. There sure are. Okay. Does mass subbing actually lag the stream like that? I don't actually know. Yeah. Depending on what they have set up right now. Okay. Was it Borna? That went really laggy. Okay. We'll just wait. We'll wait. Hold. Hold? Open the chat. I want to open the chat. Holy shit. There's so many Prime subs.
Challenger.
Bitrate check.
Bitrate is being checked. Thanks so much, Mike, for the 17 months. That's a lot of bitrate checking. That's a lot of subs, yeah. Someone trying to fuck with it? I think Twitch is just fucking... I honestly, what I think this is Twitch was not... Normally when Twitch knows that some section is gonna get a mass amount of stuff, they kind of pull from the other ingest to like feed that section. And so... Typically...
Sir, just what are we facing here?
Precious. Those who
Power and tends to harness. There are 21 active skills for quarterstaves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have.
What? No,
By
go back.
endgame, you'll be dashing from pack to pack.
Go back.
Spewing is where you find yourself at the start of
Okay.
PoE 2.
Good.
Explore the dark forests of Ogham. Traverse the barren plains of the Vesteri Desert. And delve into the jungle ruins of Utsal, an ancient Val city.
Okay.
There are challenging
We're
monsters,
golden.
hidden runes, lost camps and treasures, roaming merchants, and of course, unique bosses. No two areas are the same. It falls to you to track down the seed of corruption, the source of all this devastation.
Margie,
On the
thanks so
way,
much for the
you'll face
54 months.
fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds, and uncover lost civilizations. But
Bubbies.
first, you'll need to pick a class. Now, early access will initially have 6 classes available.
Oh no,
Let's have a
Roger.
look at them.
6
The
classes.
Monk is a fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat and has mechanics that involve building up and keeping momentum. Like all classes in PoE 2,
Yeah, word,
you'll
yes.
want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different combos.
I never played the monk
To
yet.
get new skills, you will first need to find skill gems. Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available.
I like
in
how much
PoE 2.
cleaner this is than what I
You
had.
can choose an existing skill to level up, or choose to engrave a new one. Since this is a level 7 skill gem, even if you pick a new skill, it will immediately be level 7, so there's no harm in trying out something new. The monk primarily uses the quarterstaff. There are 3 schools of martial arts: lightning, ice, and wind. But don't think you have to stick to just one.
Huh?
The best combos are going to involve mixing elements of all 3. Let's try killing palm. Like many monk skills, this can be used to quickly take advantage of a specific situation. If there's an enemy on low life, you can use killing palm to dash to them and kill them instantly. This will provide a power charge. Then we can use a different skill to consume that power charge for a much more devastating attack. The monk also has powerful combo skills. Tempest Bell, for example, is a skill that places a giant resonating bell. Hitting the bell causes it to ring, dealing damage to all enemies around it. You can also do things like freeze or shock the bell, which will add elemental damage to the strikes.
Or just be me and
The monk
ignore all
also
that.
has a variety of abilities to empower his staff. If an enemy is close to being stunned, you can use staggering palm to punch them down. After that, any attack you do will shoot out wind projectiles. There
Oh,
are
interesting.
21 active skills for quarterstaves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have. By endgame, you'll be dashing from pack to pack, spewing projectiles and obliterating screens of enemies with huge combo attacks.
Look at the bottom left
Now,
UI.
if you like a style of melee that's a little slower,
It's
but hits
just the
much
2
harder,
flasks.
then the warrior is for you. He pounds the ground with big, chunky attacks and can shrug off the hits of small enemies with large amounts of armor.
So we got the trinkets there and
Even though
the
the mace slams are
things.
slow, you never lose control. Longer attacks can be retargeted as you go.
Yeah, this
And
is a
if you
lot
find
better than
yourself
normal
committed
preview
to a long
videos.
attack, you can dodge roll out of it at any time. Among the skill option for maces, you'll find a variety of slams, fire attacks, war cries, and shield skills.
Okay.
Here, I'm going to slam the ground, rending it apart with lines of fire. Any slam skill will then cause these fissures to erupt with lava. I can even run through them with a skill like Stampede to do huge amounts of damage. The warrior can
Visually
also use
very
war
nice.
cries, which can empower your next skill. Seismic Cry, for example, will double any slams from your next attack. The Stampede counts as a slam, so I can double that for even more craziness. If you want to go a little faster and be a little more defensive, equip a shield. In PoE 2, you can raise your shield at any time to block all damage from the front, even spells. While holding up your shield, your stun meter will build as you take damage, so be careful. If it reaches 100%, your stance will break and you will be vulnerable.
Good for.
Some enemies also have unblockable attacks, which are indicated by this red flash. If you see one of these coming, make sure to dodge out of the way. Using a shield also gives you access to shield skills like Shield Charge, which allows you to charge towards enemies and stun them.
Neat.
While charging, you're also blocking the whole time, so you have full damage immunity from the front.
Damn.
The warrior also has access to totems. Some totems have built-in abilities like Shockwave Totem, which can be placed to stun nearby enemies and trigger aftershocks like those from the earthquake.
2 shields.
But you can also get ancestral warrior totems, which allow you to use any slam skill in your repertoire. This is a meta skill, which means that it's a skill you can put other skills into.
Okay.
I can take a slam like Sunder
So
and
there
socket
is
it
still
into my ancestral warrior totem.
breaker totems.
Now when I summon him, he'll sit there and slam the monsters from a distance.
This is where I'm afraid of the dodge
There are 20
roll.
active skills for maces, so there's a lot more to try out.
We'll
But
see.
by end game, you're going to be dropping hammers from the sky, leaping fearlessly into combat, and separating the very earth you stand on.
We'll see. It looks
Time for
really
some
good
ranged
though.
Attacks. The ranger is primarily about the bow, but we wanted to make sure that she feels agile as well. In PoE 2, you can shoot while moving. Combined with all the skills the ranger has that allow you to jump around, you will have a lot of mobility in combat.
Exactly, Shanks, yeah.
Bow skills have a variety of lightning, poison, ice, and physical attacks. Lightning attacks bounce around between targets. You can also stick lightning arrows in the
in the
ground that explode
face.
when hit by the bouncers, or electrocute enemies to take them out of combat. Ice attacks allow you to slow and freeze enemies to keep them away from you.
Honestly, if the
Using
console was
poison
able to
not
run
only
it,
can
most
slowly
people's
damage your
PC
enemies
should.
from afar, but also grow some interesting plants.
Okay,
With
whatever
21
that
bow
was recorded
skills
on
and
needed
all
to be
the
a higher
mobility
frame
and
rate.
combo tools the ranger has, you can take advantage of every situation. By endgame, you'll be creating hundreds of arrows, be they falling from the sky, bouncing around between enemies, or spraying out of tornadoes.
Yeah, this looks like Path of Exile.
You might have noticed in the bottom left of the screen that the flask slots look a little different. In PoE 2, you have one dedicated life flask slot and one mana flask slot. Flasks gain charges
Look
as you kill
slow.
enemies, and typically allow you to heal 6 or 7 times if they're full. But that's not the only thing you can use charges for. Charms are a new item type that will automatically defend you from various debuffs or damage types.
Oh.
Having trouble with getting frozen? Equip a Thawing Charm. When it's fully charged, it will make you immune to freeze for 3 seconds if you get frozen. To recharge them, just kill more monsters.
That's how they're doing that.
You can gain more slots for charms by upgrading your belt.
Interesting,
The
okay.
mercenary wields a crossbow that can be loaded with different ammo
Jesus
types,
Christ.
offering versatility, power, and mobility.
That looks sick as
All
fuck.
classes in Path of Exile 2 can be controlled with WASD, which makes this class play exactly like a shooter. For the crossbow, you will find skills that look like
Dude.
shotguns, sniper rifles, assault rifles, and even grenade launchers. But not only that, there are a wide variety of more interesting
That looks
elemental
sick
ammos
as
too.
fuck.
It's very fast to switch between ammo types, as long as you already have them loaded.
Way less,
which makes
yeah.
the mercenary
Cool.
able to combo abilities together for devastating effect.
The full mega combo
Use
system
glacial
was never
wall to
gonna
create
stick.
walls of ice to separate enemies, then switch to fragmentation rounds to explode the ice, dealing massive AoE damage. If I come across an armored enemy, I could use armor-piercing rounds to break their armor, and then high-velocity rounds to take them down.
Armor-piercing
Or perhaps
bolt.
I could fire a gas grenade to poison enemies before detonating the cloud with an explosive shot for massive damage.
Right, we'll see if it
If you
actually
want to
stays
call in
that
some
way.
suppressing fire, you can summon artillery ballistas. These have a minimum range, so you'll want to prepare your position carefully before moving in.
Okay, okay.
There are 22 active skills for crossbows. By endgame, you'll be calling destruction down from the sky as you litter the battlefield with
I'm
grenades
so
and
glad
hit
they
your
knew to
enemies with your automatic
Put
shotgun.
these scenes in, these
If you're
visual
looking to
fucking
take a back seat and let
clusterfucks.
your minions do the work, then the witch should be your choice. She can call forth hordes of undead monsters to fight for her while casting powerful chaos spells that debilitate her enemies.
Okay.
Occult skills are some of the most varied in the game, with skeletons,
Ooh, the
noxious
frame
spells,
rate.
specialty minions, curses, and sacrificial magic.
Oh,
Before we talk about minions, we'll have to talk about a new resource in Path of Exile 2 called Spirit. This is a spirit gem, which allows you to pick from a range of persistent skills. All classes have a variety of these skills which can add some very interesting effects, like Arctic Armor, which does cold damage to enemies that hit you, or Raging Spirits, which summon fiery skulls each time you cast
That's what
a
I was
fire
using.
spell. For the Witch, though, we'll want to be using our spirit to create permanent minions. These minions will be revived automatically when they die, so you don't have to worry about resummoning them all the time. Here, I'm using the skill screen to allocate which minions I would like in my horde. You can see the spirit cost
Oh,
of
that
each
okay,
one.
good. They put it there.
Skeletal warriors
There's a
are cheap,
really
but
weird, like,
weak,
underlying.
useful for tanking damage and distracting enemies. But I want more heavy hitters in my army, so I'm going to unsummon some warriors and instead add skeletal arsonists. Permanent minions come with special active abilities called command skills. You can order these guys to detonate your own minions for even more damage.
It was
and
so
area of
annoying.
effect.
Ditto, yeah.
If you want a bigger army, you'll need a scepter. This new weapon type is imbued with even more spirit, allowing you to summon even more friends. And if you want an even bigger army than that, you can take advantage of corpses to summon true hordes of minions. But what can a witch do while her army is at work? Well, she has a range of chaos spells to spread disease amongst your enemies, or bone skills to impale them. Or, you know, you could curse them to make them weaker so your horde can take them down. There are 25 active occult skills. By the endgame, you will be the leader of a fearsome army of the dead, consuming everything in its path.
That's pretty good.
The sorceress bends the elements to her will, using them to unleash devastation on her foes. This classic spellcaster weaves a flurry of elemental
I mean, that's
magic
what I'm
from
starting
afar.
with. Straight up.
The elemental skills have everything
Is
you
that
might
voltage?
expect and more. Fireballs, icy explosions, lightning storms, you get the idea. Each spell is unique and has many different ways to build and combo with others, even between different elements. For example, Flame Wall conjures a burning line that not only damages enemies, but also empowers all projectiles that pass through it. If you place a wall and fire lightning sparks through it, they'll gain extra fire damage. It's a good idea to take advantage of the ability to automatically swap weapons when you use certain skills. Having a special staff with bonuses to fire skills and another with bonuses to lightning skills can really power up a combo
Nothing
like this.
but Comet.
The sorceress can also take advantage of powerful trigger gems. For example, you could grab the Cast and Ignite gem and use it with Firestorm. As you ignite enemies, a counter will go up in the top left corner. When it's full, a Firestorm will automatically be cast at the enemy that was ignited. There are 25 active elemental skills. By endgame, you'll be firing off
lightning!
projectiles left and right as you rain
Yes!
down elemental storms on your foes. Now, those are the characters that will be available at the start of early access, but we will be adding
yeah.
6 more character classes with just as many skills and options as
6
these.
more.
There's a lot more to come.
Alright.
There's one more important thing to mention about skills. Even though we talk about them as belong to each class, in reality there are no restrictions.
Yeah.
You can use all these skills on any class so long as you have the attributes. For example, a poison ranger might want to try out using occult curses to increase her poison damage. Or a monk might want to trigger elemental ice walls to use with his glacial cascade combo. The possibilities for cross-class combos are practically unlimited. We're looking forward to what kind of things you guys might find.
Still Path of
Now,
Exile.
Path of Exile is a game known for build customization, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what is possible yet.
It showcased
So
my
let's talk
build.
about support gems.
How dare
Path of
they?
Exile 2 has a system of support gems that can be combined with your active skills to dramatically change the way they work. If you find a support gem, then right-clicking it will open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of recommended support gems for each of your skills that you can pick between. For example, this is a multiple projectiles support gem and can be used to add multiple projectiles to any skill. Normally, when you fire a grenade, it'll look like this. But if we add multiple projectiles, then you get 3 of them. Once you have the gem, you can also freely move it between any of the skills in your character.
Oh yeah.
If you want to have a multi-shot sniper rifle instead, then simply move the gem over to your high-velocity round skill. Generally speaking, if it sounds like a support gem should work with a skill, then it will work. So it's a good idea to experiment.
Generally speaking.
Note that you can only have one of each support gem on your character, so you'll want to think carefully about which supports can be
Okay,
used best
yeah.
with each skill for maximum damage.
So they are still
Now,
going with
if
that.
you want to stick to the recommendations, you should have a perfectly good time. But if you want to experiment a bit more, then uncheck that recommended button and you
We
can see the
haven't yet,
full list
no.
of supports that will work with your skill. There are hundreds of support gems to choose from, and even we don't know the results of all the possible ways these can interact. Each skill can have up to 5 supports socketed into it, and if you're clever, you can come up with some pretty interesting ideas. Now all of this is just scratching the surface. You can make frost vortexes, break people's armor, make minions explode, make skills repeat, make enemies set each other on fire, cull enemies, or pin them to the ground. Supports let you drastically change the behavior of your skills and create your own unique build, or at least follow someone's OP build guide. So, speaking of builds, let's talk about one of the most iconic Path of Exile systems, the passive skill tree. Yes, it's huge. There are over 1,500 nodes on there. Now, a lot of people open the tree and can get a little intimidated at first.
No.
But try not to be scared. There are lots of options, but at its core, it's pretty simple. Each level you get 1 point to put into the tree. Each class starts at a different location, but they all share the same tree. Around your section of the tree, you'll find relevant bonuses for your character. You should be safe in the knowledge that there aren't many wrong choices here. Almost all the starting nodes will be useful for your character in some way. But if you do happen to make a choice you regret, you'll be able to respec any nodes you've taken by spending a little bit of gold.
Yeah, you can choose attributes on the outer
tree is
nodes.
generally divided up into clusters which have similar themes. In each cluster you will find small nodes that give simple bonuses like increased damage, but the real power comes from notables. Notables normally have much more interesting bonuses, and they tend to care a lot more about how your build works and what skills you're using. For example, in the mercenary area of the tree, this one gives a 25% chance for crossbow skills to not consume a bolt.
Oh.
And here's one that gives grenades a chance to blow up a second time. This one gives a chance for projectiles to rebound off terrain, as well as giving you some pierce chance to make that more likely. Note that even though this is in the mercenary section, this would work with projectiles from all classes, so there are often reasons to go to different areas of the tree.
Yeah.
In order to get between these clusters, you will generally have to allocate nodes in the attribute highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick which attribute you would like to use, so it's very easy to get points for any attribute that your gear might need.
Okay.
You can change which attribute these nodes give you for half price at the respec vendor.
Oh, nice.
In addition to notables, you will also find even larger passives called keystones. Keystones have both an upside and a downside, and often require changing your entire build to design around them. A great example is Giant's Blood, which allows you to wield two-hand weapons in a single hand, but doubles the attribute requirements of them. You can use a two-hand mace with a shield, or even dual wield them.
Fuck yeah, Fury Warrior!
Or how about Mind Over Matter, which makes all damage go to your mana pool first before your life pool, but you lose 50% of your mana regen. Skills like these can be tough to build around, but if you're up for the challenge, they can be very rewarding. As we showed you earlier on the Sorceress,
Kinda
you
looks
can
like
swap
it's
between weapon sets on the
Cocteau.
fly as you use certain skills. One of the new features in Path of Exile 2's passive tree is that you can choose to have your passive tree change as you switch between weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses on the tree. For the Sorceress, you might want to change between fire and lightning specialization.
God, that's gonna make trees so fucking complex
Or
to tell
you could
people
switch
about.
between one hand and a two-hand setup in order to be able to block boss attacks while following up with heavy hits from your bigger mace. Or perhaps you could have a full curse setup on your witch to debuff enemies before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage. If you want to stick with just one weapon set, you can just use these specialization points as bonus points to invest however you like. But creative players will find plenty of opportunities with this system. You can get weapon specialization points throughout the campaign from optional bosses and quests. For example, if I manage to defeat the Crowbell, I'll get a weapon specialization book. There are lots of other permanent boosts available from the campaign too. On the map, you can see icons that indicate the many optional encounters you can find. Some of them have permanent character boosts, and others have powerful items. If you're having trouble getting past a boss, it might be a good idea to explore and see what you can find. For example, if you defeat Blackjaw the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent increase to fire resistance. One of the most important finds are spirit bonuses. You can find the first one here in the canopy in Act 1. Defeat the boss in this area to acquire a permanent addition of spirit. The permanent buffs you gain from spirit
Second
are
time
very
through on the
powerful,
axe.
and every class will find a use for them.
Yeah.
So make sure you hunt down these upgrades. There's one in each act. Now we haven't even talked about the most important element of character progression, items. That's why we're all here, right?
Yeah.
Items in Path of Exile can be broken down into 4 rarity groups: normal, magic, rare, and unique.
Cool rain.
One of the things you're going to want to do as you play through the campaign is upgrade the items you find, and you can do that with currency items. An Orb of Transmutation will allow you to upgrade a normal item to a magic item with 1 mod. You can then apply an Orb of Augmentation to add a second mod, then use a Regal Orb to add a third mod, and upgrade it to a rare. Finally, you can use some Exalted Orbs to add more mods to your rare to a total of 6 mods. One of the things we think is really important is to make these options available to use as you play. All the items that add mods are much more common than they were in Path of Exile 1.
Okay.
So that you can use them throughout your campaign playthrough.
Good, good, good.
We want you to find things on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades much more frequently. As well as making the drop rates on these items much more common, you can also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the magic item vendor.
Yeah.
If you disenchant magic items, you can build up to an orb of transmutation, and by disenchanting rares, you can build up to regal orbs.
You actually get to use stuff along the way.
Items in PoE 2 is sockets. Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item. If I insert this glacial rune into my helmet, it will give extra cold resistance. This is a great way to solve problems that you have with your build, like resistances or damage.
Okay, we got runes
If you
in
find
now.
socketed items that you don't have a use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an artificer's orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items. Body armors and two-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest of your armor and one-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost.
Interesting. Feels like we were just
If
gonna
you don't
scrap
want to
everything.
disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold. Gold can be used to buy items from vendors, and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful. Every time you level up, they get more stock.
More and more
so make
hyped.
sure to check back often.
Yeah, these systems
Other
are a
vendors
bit.
offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold and you'll get a random item of a specific type. This could be a great way to improve your gear, if you're lucky.
Maybe project.
Gold is also used to respec your passive skills. Take advantage of this system to experiment with your tree and rework it as required. The other thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange. This allows you to exchange currency items with other players on an open market.
I
In
see.
exchange for a small
That's
gold
sticking
fee.
around.
Now, all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character, except gold.
Except gold.
Now, most gear in Path of Exile 2 is randomly generated, but there's another type that isn't. Uniques. They are especially
Boots.
rare, each with a handcrafted
the
set
bird?
of unusual mods which can dramatically change a character's build. They're not just better rare items, they can do much stranger things that can fundamentally change your
40%
character.
movement speed at random when hit.
Corpse Wade will make any corpses you run through explode into clouds of poison.
Ew.
The Sands of Silk is a body armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink, morphing you into sand as you teleport past your foes. And of course, some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine, like Quill Rain, which just turns your bow attacks into full auto by doubling your attack speed. Each unique is something that you can build your
Unique
character
already.
around. We try to make sure that most unique items have a
Maybe.
potential use at endgame, even if you find them early on. And as you can see, every single unique item comes with custom art to match.
Underboob, unbanned on
The
Twitch.
last character progression system that you can do during the campaign is Ascension.
Oh, here we go.
Starting in Act 2, you will come across Ascension trials, tests that you must complete to unlock your Ascension class.
Lab's back,
We'll explain
baby!
these trials soon, but first let's take a look at what Ascending can do for your character. Each class has access to 3 Ascendancy classes, but at the start of Early Access, only 2 per class will be available. Ascendancy classes are unique to each character class, so choose wisely. They can drastically affect how you build your character.
Why are the Sork's eyes
As
bleeding?
a sorceress, you could become a Storm Weaver, a master of the elements. Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each time you do a critical hit with a spell.
Oh shit!
With Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage. And going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply Shock. Make a Shock build from any skill. Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time itself. She literally has the ability to stop time with Time Freeze.
What the
Not
fuck?
only that, but she has many other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location,
I'm
resetting
the
her life
Time
and mana back
Wizard.
to what it was. Or with Time Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns and cast all her spells again. On the Warrior, you can choose
Okay.
between the Warbringer or the Titan.
Yeah, it's
The
so
Warbringer
good, yeah.
channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems. With Jade Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks.
Eat. But you can't
Warcrawler's
move.
Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that
Warcry
anger out.
Barbar!
The Titan class is all about hitting big. With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an aftershock. With crushing impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease. With surprising strength, you can take advantage
that
of
flamethrower
stunned
would've
enemies
killed
to
me
deal
in the
40%
fucking
more damage.
LA event.
As a ranger, you
I think
might
there's
choose
so
to be
much
a Deadeye,
damage.
an expert markswoman who can take down foes with style. With endless munitions, every attack gains an extra projectile.
Nice.
With gathering winds, she
there's
gains a
Tailwind.
small increase to movement speed with every attack. But be careful, she loses them when getting hit. With eagle eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting all those passive points on accuracy. Alternatively, you could become a Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison. She can choose from one of several throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one can shock your enemies, allowing you to do extra damage. Contagious contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while overwhelming toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by. Running assault allows her to move much more quickly while firing, while relentless pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies. The witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage. As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit.
Neat.
With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage.
What?
Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies. She can also transform into a literal demon. While in demon form, she takes an increasing amount of damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery.
Oh shit!
She can also become a Blood Mage, a master of life and energy. All Blood Mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana, but in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life.
So we're going
With Crimson
succubus.
Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life,
Yes.
and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well. Once you've got a significant amount of life, you can use Gore Spike to make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage. A monk who is in tune with the elements might become an Invoker. With Elemental
He knows
Expression,
Kung Fu.
the Invoker will create waves of elemental power each time
He's
he does a critical
matchless.
strike. With Faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield. Choose between I am the Blizzard or I am
the
the
fuck?
Thunder to specialize in cold or lightning. And I Shall Rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar. Each time you apply a status ailment to an enemy, you gain Unbound Fury. When you have enough, transform into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments.
Literally Aang.
Some monks choose to reach into the darkness instead. The Acolyte of Chayula can exchange their mastery of spirit for darkness, a resource that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage. The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have.
Interesting.
Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well. Another node you can take is Waking Dream.
Pretty sure
which
guys
allows
are.
you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons.
I hope so at this point.
There you will see the flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage.
Oh, interesting.
The mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a witch hunter.
That with mom, yeah.
Obsessive rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks.
Oh, where? That's gone
With
Mercs.
Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against demons and undead. With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage.
What?
This is great for hunting powerful bosses. And with Witchbane, you can break
Reverse
your enemy's
call.
concentration, preventing them from casting spells as often as they would usually do. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you sock up more and more support
What
gems.
the hell?
Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes, while Crystalline Potential adds extra quality bonuses to every gem socketed into your character. So those are the ascendancy classes for the start
That's
of early
interesting.
access. But one thing we haven't talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place. Ascension in Path of Exile 2 requires completion of one of the Great Trials, which you'll find as you progress through the campaign. Each one is associated with one of the major cultures of Rayclast. Located in the Vasteri
I got a
plains of
gem in my
Ameriketh,
dick.
a culture of rich tales and brutal traditions, who must do whatever it takes to survive in the desert. The highest position in Mariketh culture is a Sekima, and it is not a title given freely. All aspirants must complete the Trial of the Sekimas, a grueling gauntlet that will test their strength, will, cunning, and patience. To enter, a warrior of the Mariketh must prove their worth by trapping the soul of a djinn in a coin, and you are no different. Once you have earned your coin, it may be placed on the relic altar to begin the trial.
That's Bala Bala? Oh, okay.
In the Trial of the Sekimas, each room has its own challenges to overcome. In this room, each rare monster you kill will send its blood to the chalice in the center of the room. Once the chalice is filled, you will be able to proceed.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
While fighting monsters in the trial, you will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The
Yeah.
monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial and need to find another coin in order to try again. It is a good idea to make sure that you are well prepared before challenging the Trial of the Sekimas.
Okay. It's Sanctum for your ascendancies.
After each room, you will be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can
Oh,
be used to
interesting.
unlock chests later in the trial. Once you have claimed your reward, you will be shown a map of the rest of the floor and may choose how you wish to proceed.
It
Which
literally
challenges
is
would you like to
completely
face, and which rewards do you want to claim?
Okay.
Some rooms are more dangerous, afflicting you with debuffs that will persist for the entire trial. For example, entering this room will afflict you with Spiked Shell that will cause all monsters in the rest of the trial to have 50% increased life. You will want to take care if you choose such a path.
I think this is more like
There are many
micro
different
dungeon
challenges and
Sanctum than
rewards
it
as you
is like
journey through
what
the
we have
trial.
currently Sanctum.
Deadly traps, waves of monsters, and
We'll
strange
see.
artifacts will test your honor. As you progress, you'll be able to gain boons from the djinn, which will help you on your journey. For example, the Sekima's cloak will revive you once if you die, giving you a second shot at a run. One of the rewards you may find is Sacred Water, an extremely valuable and treasured resource to the djinn and the Mariketh. Trading it with the djinn will allow you to receive many benefits. You can recover honor, gain additional boons, or remove afflictions. At the end of the floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly test your limitations. In order to ascend, you will need to defeat him.
Okay. I wonder. Yeah, we'll have to see how this goes.
Having defeated the boss, you've earned the right to ascend. But first, the loot. The keys you have found may be used to open the various treasures in the vault at the end of the floor. We only have a single bronze key, so we'll just have to open one of these small chests. If you want to open the better ones, you'll need silver
Wow.
or gold keys. Let's use the Altar of Ascendancy. Your first ascension will allow you to pick your class and grant you 2 points to use in the tree.
Okay.
Now there are more floors and many more rewards that can be found within the Trial of the Sekimas.
You just gotta do the
Save
first
that for the
floor.
section on the endgame. For now, let's talk about the
Okay.
second ascendancy trial, the Trial of Chaos. In Path of Exile 2, you can choose whichever trial you like to earn your ascension. Each culture on Rayclast had their own methods to ascend.
Oh.
If the Trial of the Sekimas is not your kind of playstyle, or you're finding it too difficult, you could try another.
There we go.
You can gain all your ascension points from just one, or mix and match them. It's up
Okay,
to you.
okay.
For early access, we will have 2 trials as options, with a 3rd trial coming later for the full release.
Okay, so there's 3
While
different
exploring
things.
the Vaal jungle, you'll discover the Temple of Chaos. Before the Vaal embraced the science of corruption, their civilization worshipped chaos. This ancient
It's
trial was
ultimatum.
once used by the Vaal to test their high priests. A high priest of the Vaal must show willingness to risk everything to gain power. Entry to the trial requires a token from a strange entity known only as the Trial Master. For those in which he sees potential, he shall inscribe an ultimatum. Many have attempted these trials in search of greatness.
He's
Most
dead.
have perished. Will you be able to defy the odds? Before you begin each chamber, the Trial Master will offer you a reward and a choice. Choose one of 3 tribulations to affect you
Yep.
through the rest of the trial. These modifiers might beef up the monsters, curse the player, or add environmental hazards like turrets or trap runes. In this case, we'll be picking shocking turrets.
What would the last one be then?
As you enter the room, the Trial Master will fill it with hazards to test your commitment. In this case, you must destroy all the monsters that fill the room, while dealing with the lightning projectiles from the shocking turrets.
Simu. Necro. Yeah, this is fine. It's not Ultimato like we have it right now. Same with Sanctum. The Sanctum look different. It's more of like a mini dungeon. You just gotta survive. Be Toda.
After each room, you will need to make a choice. Take the rewards you have earned so far, or go double or nothing. Increase your rewards,
always double
but
or
take on
nothing.
more risk.
What
Each
can you
tribulation
lose?
you add is minor on its own, but they quickly stack on top of each other and can become overwhelming.
Ah, fucking send it.
There are many types of chambers in the trial. Each will test your resolve in different ways.
Weaker character
This one
choice,
simply
right?
requires you survive for a certain amount of time. Another requires you to escort the stone idol through the level as elevators full of monsters descend to attack you.
Escorts.
Should you be able to get through the first 3 chambers, you will face your first boss. The order of the bosses is
It's a
random,
big chicken.
and combined with the tribulations you have selected, the fight will never feel the same. After defeating the boss, you may claim your rewards. Of course there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend. If you already did the Trial of the Sekimas, then you can claim 2 more points to add to your Ascendancy class.
Alrighty.
Now it's possible to go much deeper. There are more bosses, rewards, and risks to take, but we'll talk more about that when we get to endgame. So how about we talk about that now?
Okay. Let's do that now.
So far, we've only been showing you footage from the campaign, but some people would argue that the endgame is where the game truly begins. Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG launches is people saying, there isn't enough endgame content. Well, we want to make sure that in PoE 2, people don't feel that way.
Okay.
And we actually only changed our development priority for this recently. The first 3 acts of PoE 2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a new player. This is already a pretty significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in endgame each league. We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was actually a bad idea. Instead of having acts 4 to 6 in early access, we could concentrate on endgame and make that great. For new players, a 25-hour campaign is already a huge game with lots of content. But for existing action RPG players, what you mostly care about is all the endgame challenges to overcome. So several months ago, we switched the entire development team's focus over to making endgame content.
Oh.
At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types. But the great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there. We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into release.
Okay.
Now, in order to make the endgame happen at the same character level as what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, we've added a second difficulty level called Cruel.
That's where it
Repeat
is.
the campaign with all the monsters and bosses leveled up. And of course, new rewards. You can kind of think of it as like a new game plus. It's also a lot faster to get through the content the second time as your clear speed increases. That will take you to around level 65, where the endgame begins.
Okay.
Once we add the remaining 3 acts, we'll be removing Cruel difficulty, so you'll progress straight from the end of Act 6 to endgame.
Makes sense.
But what is the endgame? To
Sauron's
explain
Eye.
that, I'll hand over to Mark. He can tell you all about it.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known for is having a lot of distinct endgame content to choose between. Each endgame mechanic needs to have its own progression system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player power that can
don't know what that
only be
was
gained from that
audio.
content. We are going to be adding a lot more over time, but for Path of Exile 2, we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can progress through. This is the Atlas, and it serves as the core of the endgame for Path of Exile 2. It's infinite and expands in all directions. Now, we are not going to spoil the plot too much here, but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is to help fight it. In the center of the Atlas, you will find the Ziggurat, a temple in which the Val research the fundamentals of space and time. Here, we can open portals to nearby locations and begin cleansing corruption and finding resources. In order to power the portal device, we will need waystones. Each waystone has a tier which will determine the level of the monsters that you will face.
Definitely not maps.
To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. Portals will open, allowing you and your party to travel to the area you have selected. All the areas in the endgame feel distinct from the locations in the campaign, and we have dialed the randomization up to 11. The monster packs you will face in each map are totally random, and the combination of them can lead to some very interesting combat situations.
Okay.
There are over 400 monster types in early access, and they have a lot of varied and interesting abilities. Depending on which combinations you face,
Yeah, it
you
was
might
Flicker
find
Strike,
some
wasn't it?
serious challenges. In order to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need to defeat all the powerful
I'm so
rare
going
and
succubus.
unique enemies in it. Once you have done that, the area will be marked as completed and you will be able to travel past it to progress deeper into the world. If you die, then the map can no longer be run, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind it. There are also all kinds of other random encounters you might run into as you play maps. One such encounter are precursor artifacts. These are ancient, corrupting monuments that irradiate the monsters around them. The monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff. Some of the buffs make you faster, others rain lightning or fire around you, and some even give you increased experience.
No,
or
you
help
don't
find
break
better
it. It's just like
items.
you might
also
not be able to get to
find
one
strong
specific
boxes.
node because you
These
can always go
enigmatic
around.
chests guard piles of treasure, but are always
It'll be
a trap.
fine.
Monsters lie in wait to attack you the moment you open it, and the boxes often have mechanisms to unleash powerful spells or dangerous debuffs. There are different types of strong boxes containing different items, and you can even use your currency items to craft them on the fly, so you can optimize the contents. But be
I guess you
careful
could
of
break a
opening
circle
one
around
can't
you,
handle.
yeah.
Sometimes you'll discover monsters frozen in essences, solidified crystalline corruption. These dangerous monsters can be broken free. If you defeat them, the essence they drop can be used to upgrade normal items to magic items with a guaranteed mod from a category.
It's gonna be a large freaking circle.
For example, we could use this one on some boots to ensure a movement speed mod.
Yay.
Rarely, essences will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod.
Oh. Interesting change.
This is incredibly powerful since it allows you to get a second deterministic mod in your crafting projects. Combining these with the currencies that are commonly found in Rayclast for modifying items, and we can get a very nice pair of boots indeed. Waystones, like all items, can also be crafted using your currency items. Adding prefix mods will improve the rewards, while suffix mods increase danger. The more dangerous a map is, the more waystones will drop. Adding mods to your waystones is key to progressing to higher tiers and sustaining them, but it will require you to take on larger challenges.
Yay, challenges.
There are a variety of factors you have to consider when crafting your waystones. Some maps will have higher density, some lower, some have more magic and rare chests, or monsters,
just realized.
some are more linear, and others more open.
If I go
Make sure
succubus,
you
I gotta
explore
stack
and think
life
about what
regen.
makes certain maps good if you want to maximize your returns. As you cleanse corruption from higher and higher tiers of the Atlas, you will gain points that you can spend in the Atlas tree. This tree allows you to juice the danger and rewards of all areas in the endgame. You could increase the number of monsters, the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts or strongboxes, even the quantity of item drops. As you explore the endgame world map, you'll notice various different biomes, from snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys. Most maps are restricted to certain biomes.
Right.
As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas,
Oh, that
there are
hurts.
all sorts of things to discover. These cities are constructed by different peoples of Rayclast and
Classic
have specific items that
fucking
can
build.
be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later. You might find unique maps like Untainted Paradise,
Oh, shit.
an undisturbed island full of beasts that give
Still
an extreme
exist.
amount of experience. You may even find a lonely man just enjoying his retirement who will give you a unique item for free. In addition, you can find special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile inhabitants, and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout. You can decorate your hideout as you see fit and invite various NPCs to join you there to create your own personal base of operations.
Yeah, it looks like they're going away from like
Great tool for
running the
exploration
same map
are
over and over again.
towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas. Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out your next challenge. There are lots of things to find, so keep looking. Some
Cool.
sections of your atlas are influenced by corruption. This adds extra modifiers to the maps in the region,
Ubisoft Towers.
increasing difficulty and rewards. Here, slaying monsters in close proximity to each other will cause the vestiges of corruption within them to merge together, forming powerful and grotesque abominations. You may have noticed while looking at the
encoder
atlas that
fucked
some
up.
of the areas have these icons above them. The icon indicates that the area contains some kind of special encounter. This icon indicates that the area has a powerful boss. Because only 1 in 4 maps contain a map boss, we are able to make them very powerful and very rewarding.
Interesting,
These bosses
okay.
come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to AI and some of their abilities. It's worth noting that because you can see where the bosses are, you can choose to take them on or avoid them. If you do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special points for the boss
Hell
hunting section
yeah.
of the Atlas skill tree. The points here
Give me
will
that
allow you
shit.
to specialize in boss killing, giving you much greater rewards for defeating them.
Alright, I know what I'm doing.
For each different type of content in the endgame, we are adding specialized trees in order to make it so you don't feel the need to respec your points when you change between different types of content. We will
Hell
be
yeah.
showing you 7 of these by the end of this presentation, so there is still a lot more to come. Bosses are not the only icon you will see on the Atlas. Let's take a look at one of the endgame systems, Breach. If you played PoE 1, you might be familiar with Breach. For
Andy.
PoE 2, we have created sequels to several PoE 1 leagues. While the mechanic is familiar, the monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new. A breach is a tear in the fabric of reality. Opening it will allow you to see the demons and otherworldly monstrosities that lie in wait on this other plane of existence. By engaging with a breach, you'll create a bridge between their world and Rayclast. In order to keep the breach open, you will need to kill the demons that pour forth. The faster you can kill the monsters, the more monsters you will fight, and the more loot you will find. You can also find clasped hands that will open and drop more items if you run over them. These can be a good boost to the rewards of the breach, so keep an eye out.
Okay, very similar to what we
One
have
of the
now.
rewards that you may find while fighting monsters from Breach are tablets. Tablets are special items that can be used with precursor towers to add more encounters to the Atlas. Breaches will drop breach tablets. Clicking on a completed tower will allow you to consume the tablet to add more breaches to areas within range of the tower. This makes all the content
it's
in
the
the
same.
Atlas self-sustaining. Want to do more breaches? Find the tablets, add them to your towers, get more breaches, getting more tablets. Soon your Atlas will be covered in otherworldly domains.
Okay,
In
hell
addition,
yeah.
like all items in PoE, you can craft them. Use your currency to add mods to your tablets, allowing you to upgrade all the breaches in range. Tablets can have up to 2 mods. These mods do things like adding extra rare monsters, extra clasped hands, or even monster density of breaches, allowing you to keep them open longer.
Yeah, essentially you go to
Often
the
you will
tower,
find
boof the
multiple
area,
towers near to each
run
other
what you
with
wanna run.
overlapping areas of effect. This can allow you to really juice the mechanic by
Oh,
stacking
wow.
the mods from multiple tablets.
Oh,
In your
okay.
fight to hold the breach demons at bay, you may want to use the powers of their world against them. Each in-game mechanic always has player power that can only be gained from that mechanic, and Breach is no different. In Breach, you will find catalysts, items that can increase the quality of rings and amulets by improving specific mobs.
Oh,
You can
okay, that's
also
what they're
find
saying.
Breach rings, a special base type that can have its quality improved by catalysts up to 50%. In this
Okay.
case, you could create a ring with around 170 life. Breach rings can become some of the strongest rings in the game.
I have no
giving you some
context for
good
this number.
motivation to face the demon hordes. In addition, each endgame mechanic needs to have a pinnacle endgame encounter. While killing breach monsters, you may find breach splinters. Collect enough of these and you'll be able to create a breach stone. Using a Vaal technology called the Realm Gate, you can use your breach stone to access their domain and bring the fight to them. In this twisted domain, you will find nothing but a single massive breach. Triggering it will reveal hordes of breach inhabitants.
Okay. Breach stone from normal Poe, but just flicker strike.
And should you be fast enough, you will be able to fight their leader, Zesht. We that are one.
It's neck, dude. It's Templar. Yep. We get his hands.
This is just one of the pinnacle encounters of PoE 2. We won't be showing the rest of them, so you will have to discover them for yourself. But rest assured, this is some of the hardest content we have ever made. All of these encounters have specific uniques that can only be found from them, but that's not all. We still have the progression system. Defeating Zesht will give you points to allocate into the breach section of the Atlas tree. Allocating these points will make breaches and the breach domain even harder, but will give you more rewards. The small nodes will increase the difficulty of the twisted domain, while the large nodes have more specific bonuses. For example, this node adds more clasped hands to your breaches, and adds a pack of magic monsters that can guard them. Get some more points and you can allocate Waking Nightmare, which will double the number of splinters you get from clasped hands, and inflict you with a mysterious debuff.
Which league has the Watcher's Eye? Essentially,
Zesh
yes.
at a higher difficulty, and some rewards from Zesh can only be found by increasing the difficulty of the Twisted Domain above certain thresholds.
Okay, so you gotta
Defeating Zesh at difficulty 4 will be a challenge indeed, but there are many more threats in Rayclast.
Well, it's a challenge if you face tank the
Ritual
Slayer.
altars are sacrificial sites built by the mysterious King in the Mists. If you encounter this symbol on the Atlas, then you know that the area contains ritual altars. Ritual altars demand tribute. Every monster you slaughter in the circle will
damage
feed
numbers.
to the altar. After the sacrifice, touch it to begin the ritual.
Touch.
The monsters you just killed will be resurrected by the King of the Mist's dark magic, and you must fight to survive. The tribute you have offered to the altar can be spent to buy powerful items, but they can be expensive. To gain more tribute, you will want to find more altars. Each successive ritual you do within an area will spawn the monsters revived by the previous ones, in addition to the ones you sacrifice next to it. By the end of an area, you will be fighting a truly imposing number of foes, but will have a significant amount of tribute to spend. One of the rewards you can buy with tribute are omens. These are special items that allow for meta crafting. Crafting items that affect other crafting items. Have an item with good prefixes but bad suffixes? This omen will help you to remove the mod you don't want while keeping the ones you do. There are a bunch
that's
more
how
of
they're
these
doing
with different
meta.
effects, but we will leave them for you to discover.
Interesting.
Now, don't forget that Ritual will also drop tablets, which can be used to specialize into getting more rituals.
Interesting,
If you want to
okay.
get to the pinnacle boss of Ritual, then you will probably want to use them. They can also be crafted to grant mods, making your rituals more rewarding. The pinnacle encounter of Ritual is the King in the Mists. Feared by the Asmeri people, he is
Yeah, you can
said to
sell
have
your
brought
motocross.
eternal darkness to the Wildwood. We won't show the encounter, but just like Breach, there are a range of unique items you can get for defeating him, and you will gain points in the Ritual section of the Atlas tree. Some maps have been touched by insanity.
No.
A mysterious entity has taken a special interest in you. Step through the looking glass and you will find your nightmares coming to life. When you touch a mirror, the mists of delirium will spread out across the area, infecting your mind. You must stay within the mist to maintain the nightmare,
so
which is as profitable as it is
great.
terrifying. Everything you kill will increase the rewards that drop. However, the deeper into the mist you travel, the stronger the monsters are. Be careful not to overstay your welcome. Rare and unique enemies will become vessels for terrifying demons, who will manifest out of them to unleash powerful attacks on you. The mist also
at least
offers
there's a
a
little-
strange crafting material, distilled emotions. By combining these emotions, you are able to instill your amulet with a notable from the passive skill tree. This is like gaining an extra passive point for free attached to your
annoyance.
gear. They are also particularly great because you don't have to traverse the tree to get them, allowing you to get off-class bonuses that would normally be much harder to get.
Annoyance or in delirium.
Distilled emotions can also be used to instill your in-game maps, applying Delirious to them and adding additional difficulty and rewards, allowing you to further juice your in-game maps. The
Okay.
tablets you can find from Delirium can be used to further improve it, increase pack size, make the fog dissipate slower, or improve your progress towards the pinnacle encounter of Delirium.
Smash.
Speaking of which, every now and then you will find simulacrum splinters. The mysterious entity will create strange encounters based on warped versions of your
That
own
looks
memories.
really cool.
Monsters and simulacrums come in waves that get progressively more difficult. You will receive loot at the end of each wave, and you will have to make the decision to leave now or continue on.
Looks sick as
facing up
fuck.
against even tougher foes from the mist. The bosses you will face as you get deeper into a simulacrum are truly terrifying. If you can complete a simulacrum, you will gain points for the Delirium section of the Atlas skill tree.
Okay. Oh
Next
shit.
up, we have Expedition.
Alright.
Occasionally, while clearing corruption, you will encounter these Kalguran settlers. The Kalgurans have discovered ancient burial sites with lost Verisium artifacts, and they want you to help dig them up with explosives. The Kalgurans have marked the locations where the relics can be found. Place explosives as best you can to dig up as many as possible. There is just one problem. Corruption has brought the corpses of their ancestors to life, so you might have to do a little cleanup before you can reclaim the artifacts.
Right. So a lot of this
You
is
can also find remnants,
very similar to what we
the
have.
destruction of which will further anger the restless dead. Each one you blow up will make the subsequent monsters more powerful, but also more rewarding. Danig, Rog, Tujin, and Gwenin will exchange the artifacts for useful items and runic magic. You can also find tablets to increase the number of expeditions and the rewards. This one increases the radius of explosives, while this one increases the number of remnants you will find. Eventually, you might discover a logbook. These are special maps full of buried treasure and relics. Essentially, one giant dig site.
So a lot of this
Here,
stuff
you
is
can create
essentially
an extremely long chain of explosives and go through a very high number of remnants. But be careful, many remnants have mods that can really brick your build, so you will probably want to avoid these ones. If you add too many remnants, you could easily make the encounter harder than you can handle. There are all sorts of interesting things
UI
buried under
fucked
the
up, he
ground
didn't
in
have a mana
logbooks.
orb.
You might find dripping caves and hidden pirate caches. But the most powerful encounter is Olroth, the ancient undead commander of the Knights of the Sun. Defeating him will grant you unique rewards, as well as points to spend in the expedition section of the Atlas tree.
Essentially, this
So
is
those are
1-to-1.
the in-game systems on the Atlas, but we are not done yet. The trials we talked about earlier have much more content when you get to endgame 2. Just like the other endgame systems, they also have progression mechanics, unique rewards, and player power that can only be gained from them. As you get higher level coins for the Trial of the Sycamores, you will unlock more floors to explore.
I just walked
Each
into a
floor has
fire.
its own challenging rooms and a floor boss that you will need to kill.
Okay.
There are 4 floors in total, leading to another pinnacle boss at the end of the last floor, which can only be accessed at endgame.
Yeah, it's
Trial
Sanctum.
of the Sycamores is where you'll find jewels, which you can socket into your tree. These are like passives that you can craft with your currency items. They can be really powerful as they allow you to stack
Jewels are sticking
modifiers
around.
that may not be easily accessible on the tree normally. This jewel gives lightning damage and shock chance, for example. There are quite a few jewel sockets on the tree, so it's possible to gain
They're
a
in
lot
the
of
travel
power here.
path.
There
Okay.
are also other types of jewels that don't provide any bonuses themselves, but affect other passives surrounding them. This jewel increases the effect of small nodes and radius by 25%. With
Okay.
careful placement in the tree, you could get a significant amount of power from it.
Oh.
There are also unique jewels available with very interesting effects, but you will have to find those for yourself. In order to push further into the trial and uncover the secrets of the Marika,
Yeah, that's-
you will want to take advantage of its progression system, relics. Relics are items that can be placed in the relic altar as you start the trial. They give special bonuses that affect the trial,
1-to-1.
making it easier.
Yeah,
and
I'm
increasing
surprised
its
Jules made a
rewards.
comeback.
Of course, you can craft these with your currency items.
I'm
making
surprised they
them
stick
even
around.
Stronger. If you can complete the entire trial overcoming all 4 floors, the final boss will reward you with one of many unique relics. These relics will be consumed when used on your next run, but can reward you with unique and powerful items. For example, this is the Last Flame. If you use it, you will have only 1 honor for the entire trial, so you will need to do a completely hitless run. The Trial of Chaos also extends into the endgame. As you gain inscribed ultimatums of higher and higher levels, the number of chambers that you can go through increases. In true Val style, this allows you to take even more risks for even more rewards. At endgame, you can progress through up to 10 chambers with 3 bosses on a single run.
Remember- yeah, we don't
10
have clusters,
tribulations
thank
on
fuck.
top of each other will make this a
I hope.
significant challenge, but it's worth it. The Trial Master
don't
will
make a
tempt you with
return.
items of the Val Empire, such as Val Orbs. Val Orbs are powerful crafting items that corrupt your gear with random, mysterious outcomes. Corruption prevents an item from being modified further, so it has to be the last step of your craft. But it's also the most impactful one. For example, if you use one on your body armor, it might add a new powerful enchantment, or it might re-roll up to half of its modifiers. File orbs also have the ability to add a socket, allowing you to bypass the normal restriction of how many sockets an item can have. A body armor could get up to 3 sockets this way, allowing for a significant number of mods.
Okay.
File orbs can even modify uniques. Adding enchantments or sockets to uniques can make them incredibly powerful, but there is a good chance that you will break them as well. The Trial Master will also occasionally offer you soul cores. Originally formed by Chaos, the Vaal sought to replicate soul cores through human sacrifice rituals and blood magic to power their civilization. Soul cores are powerful socketable items, with mods that cannot be obtained from regular runes. Like all in-game content, there is of course a pinnacle boss. The final
I gotta be
chamber will
honest,
drop
there's so
keys
much
to this
content that
mysterious
it's
door.
like
Some
starting
say
to
this is where the Trial Master himself resides.
kind of like
Perhaps you are willing to take the risk to find out. Had
it's
enough
hard to
yet?
keep.
Because there is still just one more thing. The
There's
most
too
difficult
much.
content in Path of Exile 2.
My eyes are slightly glazing over from just like content.
Surrounded by an enormous maze riddled with danger. Is the maze preventing something from getting in, or something getting out? This fortress is of ancient origin, and its construction has similarities to the towers and tablets that you have been using on your journey through the endgame. It is clear from the entrance that there are 3 keys required to enter. Local factions are vying for access to the fortress in order to seize the power they believe will be inside.
Okay.
Each of the faction's leaders have managed to get their hands on one of the keys, so you will need to defeat them. Each faction is led by an Uber-Act boss. You can see one of them inhabiting this city, but in order to fight him, you will first need to defeat their 2 lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful. If you fail against either of the lieutenants, or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again.
Holy
Kill all the
shit.
Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress. We aren't going to spoil it, as we can't wait to see you guys attempt it for the first time. But is there a tree you get points in after killing it? Of course there is. This is Path of Exile. There
Does
is
he look like a
always
purple
another tree.
Saiyan?
So these are your challenges for PoE 2. As you can see, this project is crazy huge.
Okay.
Way bigger than even we expected when we started out. But how do you gain access? Well, during early access you'll need a key to get in. To thank our existing PoE supporters who have spent more than $480, we'll be giving you guys a key for the PC version for free.
Nice.
Anyone else who wants one can get one by purchasing one of the new early access supporter packs that have just been released to the store.
That's a fancy hat.
If you just want early access to PoE 2, then you can get a key in the $30 early access pack. The pack also comes with $30 of points to spend in the MTX store. But we also have a variety of other supporter packs filled with exclusive microtransactions, points to spend in the store, and even physical items. The cosmetics can be used right now in PoE 1 and in Path of Exile 2 when early access starts. Most of this footage has been recorded in Path of Exile 1, since that's where you can use them immediately. The Lord of Ogham supporter pack contains a cosmetic armor set befitting of the Count of Ogham himself. There is also a matching back attachment which has an alternate variant depicting the influence of corruption.
Ew.
Also in this pack you can find a portal formed of the rusted armor
If you
of the
spent more than
fallen soldiers in the
$480
Red Veil
in
of
total.
Ogham, and the offspring of a vicious crowbell boss found in the hunting grounds. This one doesn't look so vicious though.
Yeah, no, that's lovely. Definitely not vicious looking.
On top of that, you'll receive the Iron Count's Y-Hander to apply to your one-handed or two-handed swords. For those who are wanting to decorate your hideouts with fond memories and tales of Path of Exile's history, you will also get a series of hideout statues. This pack contains the statue of Hillock. For Path of Exile 1's closed beta, each pack contained a true New Zealand icon, the Kiwi. Following this tradition, all packs in this series will also contain a new themed Kiwi pet. The pet will loyally follow you into battle, but run away at the first sign of trouble. Become the ruler of the desert with the King of the Faradin supporter pack. Show your mastery of traversing the sands of the Vasteri Plains. The body armor will allow you to glide along the ground with ancient sand magic.
Neat.
Now each armor set comes with body armor, boots, gloves, and helmet, but the boots are covered in sand. If you'd prefer to show them off, you can turn the gliding off if you want.
These are being shown in PoE 1. Yeah.
The accompanying back attachment equips you with 2 powerful pillars that can control and manipulate lightning.
That's weird.
They will periodically release their energy in a powerful blast while in town, and hover in a circle around you, arcing lightning between them, forming a barrier of energy.
Neat.
Replace the appearance of any bow with the Faradin's Glory skin. Or replace the appearance of a spear with the Tyranny's End spear skin. This spear skin can be applied to staves and war staves in Path of Exile 1.
Right,
If you want
yeah,
to
true.
truly show your worth as a king of the Farad'n, then you definitely need your trusty, moving, entire city fortress known as the Dreadnought
Enjoy, romantic,
to travel across
enjoy.
the Vasteri Plains. In Path of Exile, you can decorate your hideout.
Yeah, there's
however
still
you
15
like,
minutes
and
left.
it's no
Huh,
exception
what
here.
else- well, left over?
It comes with a variety of thematic elements to use, or use decorations from elsewhere in the game. Additionally, you'll
Big
get the
hideout.
Deshret's Blessing level up effect.
Fucking hell.
The King of the Farad'n Kiwi pet. And last but not least, a statue depicting the Vaal Oversoul from Path of Exile 1.
Neat.
For those who don't know how supporter packs work, each pack comes with all of the cosmetics from the previous tier, so you'll get all the items from the Lord of Ogham supporter pack as well. The Thaumaturge of the Vaal supporter pack features an armor set and back attachment themed around the Vaal and their pursuit of science and progress.
Neat.
You can find the Soul Core weapon effect in this pack, which causes thaumaturgic energy harnessed from
11% of the
sacrifice to
drop?
spill from your weapon.
I've no idea.
This pack also contains Doryani's Idol. It replaces the default appearance of any foci to an ancient relic once used by Doryani, and this can be applied to shields in Path of Exile 1. That's not the only Vaal weapon you'll find. It also contains the Wand of the Thaumaturge skin, and the Royal Sacrifice Dagger skin. You wouldn't think to put sacrificial gems on a Kiwi, but the Vaal did. The Thaumaturge of the Vaal supporters will receive the Thaumaturge of the Vaal Kiwi pet, and the Statue of Dominus. This is also the first pack in the series with a physical item. When purchasing this pack, you'll receive a Path of Exile 2 logo t-shirt. But if you don't want one, you can opt out in return for additional points to spend in the store. Becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter will grant you an armor set and back attachment adorned
It
with
looks like
jade
an orc
carvings
for some
and
reason, I don't know
iridescent
why.
feathers resembling power. Enough to even impress the
That's funny.
ancestral gods, specifically Tukohama, the Karui god of war.
It doesn't look like something in Poe. It looks
Overkill,
like
you
an
say?
orc.
I think
Zug,
the
zug.
Karui people would disagree. Why not drop a gigantic
thing in the
totem
top
on
doesn't
rare
update?
enemies
Okay.
you slay to crush them
I
to a
was gonna say,
pulp?
yeah, it should be working.
Replace your crafting bench in your hideout with the Ancestral Canoe crafting bench. What the Ancestral Chief Mata will summon a giant canoe manned by Karui warriors to aid in your crafting desires.
Fucking canoe just rocking in.
You'll also get a pair of weapon skins. Equip Akoya's Felling Axe skin to your one-hand or two-handed axes, or Tukohama's
got
Crusher
87%
to
in
your
the
one-handed
menu.
or two-handed maces.
It's been going. This is in the
A
background.
true Karui warlord is always accompanied by their trusty Kiwi. Equipped with armor and harnessing ancestral magic,
Dum, dum,
they
dum,
make the
dum, dum,
perfect
dum, dum, dum.
sidekick. Once
Very
one of the
adorable.
most feared beings in Rayclast, Malachi was slain by a powerful exile.
So
May the
cute.
statue commemorate the virtue of exile's past, present, and of the future. Of course, it's not all about dressing up in game. You'll want to look good in real life too. By becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter, you'll also get a Path of Exile 2 hoodie. Our final tier of supporter pack in this series is the Liberator of Rayclast supporter pack.
All right.
The Liberator of Rayclast armor set and back attachment
He's got
come made with the
fucking
finest materials in
stained
Rayclast,
glass
and
on
shattered
his
glass
shoulders.
mosaics suspended in divine power.
What the fuck?
Set up your base of operations in the Beacon of Salvation hideout.
Oh damn.
Why restrict yourself to just one island when you can liberate more? The Beacon of Salvation hideout comes equipped with your own collection of small islands and personal operators of boats that you can use to row between them.
Boats.
Just walk to the piers, click a boat to enter, and navigate as you choose.
It's
Decorate
fucking
each island as you see fit to
boat
best
time.
represent your well-earned hideout. Everyone in your hideout can use their own boat. Why
What
not
the
some
fuck?
races? You can also get the Window to Twilight portal
Holy
effect, a beautiful
shit.
mosaic piece of art that shatters and reveals a gateway to your desired destination as you approach it. As you walk away, the glass magically reforms back to its original form.
That is a portal.
Rule in style with the Throne of the Ruler map device. Sure, this map device can create portals to in-game maps,
What
but
the
it also comes with a throne you can sit on to oversee your growing kingdom. Look down on
Holy
the
shit.
plebeians running your maps. Being the Liberator, though, is not just about sitting on your throne all day. If you do decide to join the fight yourself, you can leave a High Priest in charge as your second in command.
Okay.
Liberator of Rayclast supporters will also get a set of varied weapon skins. The Light of Divinity Scepter skin, the Deliverance Crossbow skin, the Justice Flail skin, and the Redemption Shield skin. Once again, you'll have an accompanying Kiwi,
Shiny
and of course
Kiwi.
a statue depicting one of the most iconic events in Rayclast's history, the battle between a powerful exile and Kitava, the Insatiable. With the help of two deities, Sin and Innocence,
Big
the
set,
Exile was
big
able
one.
to defeat him once and for all.
Alright.
This supporter pack also contains the Path of Exile 2 art book.
Neat.
This 215-page full-color art book includes a huge amount of amazing concept art and lore produced during the long and exciting journey of Path of Exile 2's development.
Cool.
And finally, Path of Exile has a tradition of letting the community participate in designing game features.
Oh
For
no.
Path of Exile 2, we'll be adding the Twilight Order foil reliquary. By becoming a Liberator of Rayclass supporter, once Path of Exile 2 is released, you will be able to select any unique item you have found and be able to drop it from the reliquary. Once players have submitted their
door
items,
just glitch
keys
in
to
their
the
preview.
reliquary will start dropping, and other players will be able to find foil versions of
Yeah, it's
uniques
just
that you've
foil.
submitted, along with a message for the lucky player. The more players submit the same unique, the more chances there will be for the reliquary to drop them, so choose wisely.
What did they say? Item you found?
Now, almost all of these items are available to use in PoE 1 right now. There are a few exceptions where the item class clearly doesn't exist, such as crossbows or flails. And there are also a few microtransactions on weapon types that are unavailable in PoE 2 at the start of early access.
Submit the item.
Once classes that use those weapon types
What
are
if it's
added,
specifically
those
item you
microtransactions will be
found or
available to
item
use.
you traded for?
If you can't decide which supporter pack
Imagine
to choose
not
yet,
being able to
always
add it
start with
until
early
you
access
find a
supporter
mage
pack.
block.
It just includes a key and some points to spend in the store.
I feel like one of the
Then you
few
can upgrade to any
motherfuckers
of the
that can
following
add.
tiers at a later date. These supporter packs will be available for purchase throughout early access. We'd really like to thank you for your ongoing support. Without you guys, Path of Exile 2 could not have happened. Now, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. Stick around, because coming up next, we have a live Q&A with Ziggy D.
I think it's total already. Alright. We watched the Q&A? Probably watch the Q&A. There's probably enough stuff here. How hungry, hunger? Yours doesn't drop it? You're right.
To the post-show discussion and Q&A. I hope you all enjoyed what you've seen
Your
so
audio's
far.
desynced.
It's been pretty exciting for us here as well, as you guys have been inspired.
Because there's
already
nothing
just
else to
watching
do,
things. And you're already cooking a new ascendancy class.
Yeah, for sure.
Dodge with the questions.
Got to do design whenever you can.
Yeah, yep.
Absolutely.
Audio desync.
There's been a few fun moments here already, but I'm your host, Ziggy D, and I'm joined by Jonathan and Mark to talk about everything you've seen. Honestly, it's so much.
It's,
I mean, we
I
were
will
really
say,
keen to make sure that when we went into early access,
They
that
put
people
in a
didn't
bit
feel like it was
much.
just, limping.
I know it's important.
Limping along and kind of, just like a minimum amount of content. We really wanted to kind of blow people away. So
Turn it down
hopefully
just
people
slight
feel
bit.
like, there is
I know
enough
it's
content.
important, but holy
Because,
shit, was
yeah,
there
it was
so much
certainly
information.
It was certainly a mission to get all that stuff in.
Yeah, I did come here.
People were
expecting
concerned
that
about
there would
endgame,
be,
yeah.
Maybe a basic mapping placeholder endgame and your 3 acts and, the half the classes. But you've made a decision here clearly that's got the core PoE player community in mind.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we have to make sure, look, Path of Exile's endgame is kind of known for the fact that you get to choose between different types of content
Yeah.
and that, some people enjoy one thing, some people enjoy another, and I feel like that
Streams
choice
then?
is like a
Yeah.
huge part of what makes it
Yeah,
good.
it's fine, it's fine.
So if we didn't have that when we entered endgame, then I don't think that would be, that wouldn't be a Path of Exile endgame.
Right, exactly, 'cause, yeah.
Kind of what we have to make sure of.
Like,
So,
I would
we
say
can't
that,
say, okay, well, what is the minimum number of different in-game things you need to be able to have in order to be able to actually have a viable in-game that you feel like you get different choices, and that's how we ended up with what we have here.
I definitely feel like a lot of games nowadays release, and their campaigns intact and real good. You
There we
get to
go.
the end game and it just falls real flat.
Yeah.
And it was certainly a very important moment for us when we were like, hold on, that's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Let's not make the same mistake as everyone else. Let's pivot. And we actually did that, and it made a world of difference.
I think a
Made
lot
the
of that
game all of a
was,
sudden, 100 times bigger with an infinite amount more content, right?
It was definitely hard though.
I
because,
think the
okay,
number
but,
one
like I said,
question
we're progressing. It's like we
and
would've- we would've
feedback
made
they
it, we
got
would've
at
gotten,
LA was
all these
every
acts
content
and
creator
different
was
types of
like,
directions.
what's
Like, to
the
actually
end
say, you know
game?
what, we're
Tell
going to
people about the end
specifically
game.
not-
What
this
is
the
it?
content we'll be working on, that
And if they only pivoted,
pin
like,
down everyone,
a
we're stopping work on this. We're
couple
gonna move
months
over to in-game,
ago,
it's
like
actually more
let's say
important.
3 to
That
6
would
months
certainly
ago,
help.
that's
That would've been
roughly
some
after
push there,
everyone
man.
was
For
starting
sure.
to give that
I mean, it's
feedback
suddenly
of
the
like,
whole,
what the
environment of our
fuck?
team, it's like, they're all just like, whatever.
What
you're
is
working
the
on,
end
scrap.
game?
You don't want to scrap, but
'Cause that's-
like,
that's-
stop it. we're doing something else now. So
What people really care about.
Especially for a lot of the developers.
They
'cause
they
you gotta
hammered
also
onto
think,
the
like, a lot of
they
our
hammered onto
developers have
the
just been working on
the
this
idea
campaign
of
what is it now?
the
6
campaign
years.
is big and good
I
and
think it's
stuff,
even
and
longer,
like
actually.
people
It's like it just
people don't
this
play Poe for
epic
campaign.
journey, whereas none of them, a lot of these people haven't been working on Path of Exile 1 this whole time. So some of us are like, we're just churning out in game with every league and doing all of that. But for a lot of these people, a lot of these developers, it was quite jarring to swap over. But everyone embraced it. We talked about it. Everyone was happy about it and stoked about it, and it just ended up coming out real awesome. So
I think it's landed well, and it definitely kind of blew me away when you. So even before I saw anything, we were in the car on the drive here, and you were just info dumping all of the end game. You're like, oh, we got this feature, we got this feature. I'm getting dopamine just from hearing about it. I haven't even seen anything yet. But do you guys feel like you're competing against yourselves a little bit here? Because Path of Exile's kind of set the bar. The original game has set the bar for what is available to endgame in a game like this, and it makes it's not acceptable really to launch with just nothing in terms of endgame now.
Absolutely. I mean,
There's so much shade being thrown.
Then I don't think you're going to make good progress, right? So that's what you really have to do.
Yeah,
It's not acceptable to launch with no end game.
Well, as I said, I just think it would not have landed nearly as well without that. And I think it's important that our existing Path of Exile 1 community feels like they're also served. Like, yeah, sure, we're doing all this stuff for new players, and that's really important, and that'll expand the audience. But, if we launched and all the PoE 1 players are unhappy, that wouldn't be good. So we have to make sure that they also feel like, they've got a game for both them and for all the new players we hope to bring to the genre.
and you definitely want all those different axes as well. Like just having two, right? You'll get a lot of content can be immediately divisive, right? Obviously, that's the nature of it. That's how it goes, right? And so you have.
I would say
all
from
of
the
these
reveal,
different
it looks
avenues
like
because
Poe
there are
2 is
different
just
players who
Poe
like different types
1
of
with
content. So if you
better.
just like, here's your one end game system, well, immediately then there is a portion of players who are just like, I don't want this, right? And so having all of these options is like ultra key, and that is what Path of Exile 1 has taught us. And again, it's like, I'd say lessons learned, for the
Do you need a
genre
ribbing
and it's
table?
expanding in other games and stuff. But certainly, as you said, competing with ourselves. Yes, PoE 1 has 40 axes, and we've got 7 really good ones here, and obviously more to come. But 7 is a lot, mind you.
Especially when it's all people have to learn a lot of things again. It's going to be very interesting to see how long it takes people to do the kind of difficulty 4 pinnacle content. It's like we have to. It's honestly like we actually don't even really know because you never know what people are going to find in terms of builds and so on. I'm hoping that it will take people a while to be able to work it out, but you never know. Maybe end of day 1, people just be like, oh yeah, easy, no problem, mate. Could be what it's like.
We have a few people that are doing that sort of thing. I saw like a solo self found level 100 in 24 hours or something.
Jeez, okay, this is where we've got it now, is it?
The legs crossed like that, just how dudes sit.
Soft reset there for people.
Sure.
A relearning period.
There's stuff to learn.
And I mean, PoE 2 has changed a lot over the years, so more than 5 years of development now. And what was that initial pitch when PoE 2 was first put forwards, as to what it's going to be? Because it was much smaller in scope.
It's a coincidence.
Yeah, so when
There's
we
a
started,
whole
it wasn't even a sequel, it was just
synchronization
switched up
theory
the
of
character
talking
mix.
that happens
over
with
time, the feature creeped into a
psychology stuff, if you want to look into
What we were
it.
saying is whenever we were talking about it, and I guess this is the main
It happens
thing,
pretty often
is
for
that
people.
we're like, okay,
I've got
when
drops!
we make an area here, it needs to be that there's a theme for it. It feels unique from everything else. We're not going to just have recycled stuff within the campaign that just feels like, oh, we just took this area
And
modified it
wings.
slightly. Each one's got to have its own stuff. It's got to have monsters that were carefully thought about that fit in with the world, and it's got to have bosses that are actually good tier quality. And every area is going to have one. So those decisions have kind of been things that have meant that. They really raise the quality bar to a level.
The thing where you can hand someone anything while you're talking to them.
Those things there, just
literally
it's
bugged.
huge, right? Honestly,
Did you go to the page, not the one at the top, but
that level of quality?
I remember really early on, a battle I
the
fought
actual,
for, and I mean
drops
way
page?
back, was if you think back to say Diablo 2, which obviously still holds a lot of power in terms of design motivations and philosophy and stuff within the company. You get things like the super uniques,
D2.
and PoE 1 did them, and it's just here's a boss with 1 or 2 skills. And I remember very, very, very early on in PoE 2, I'm like, I want every single boss to be memorable and a thing. I don't want a unique monster that's just dies in 2 seconds and uses heavy strike and has a fancy name. And I remember, I even got some push.
Poor Caleb.
I remember getting some pushback at the time and thinking I love the bosses. My favorite part of everything, and so I was just like, man, I don't want this. This is just terrible. But of course, that decision, me pushing for that, me wanting that, turned into this megalithic.
What have you done?
Now we have 50, aiming to be 100. Honestly, probably later, several more hundred once all the end games, everything start to evolve and more expansions comes out. And I'm like, yep, we maybe just made, 100 times more work for ourselves, but 100% bloody worthwhile, because I'd say those bosses are one of the main, attraction pieces of the game. And
more bosses.
Anyone who plays it is just like, holy crap, those boss fights are amazing. So, like, obviously some are bad and some are good to different people and all that. That's how it all goes. That's part of all the fun. But it is true that me pushing for that thing literally created thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of work. Now, worthwhile work, but it is again that exact thing of like the scope was kind of small on numerous axes, and as we just raised the quality bar to what we thought was good.
100%, guys.
It certainly went from,
there's no doubt that
just reskinning some character classes and
they
new rigs
they
or
push
whatever
against
into this,
like what they've already done to make it better and better and better.
campaign, yeah, everything. But
Full standalone, separate game. Yeah.
Where am I going? Succubus.
Went out of that territory. It was originally
I saw
codenamed
flaming life regeneration required
It was the
floating
I've never been a fan of these
thing, and I was like, well, I'm going succubus.
There were times way back in the original Office.
Demon
it was
waifu.
like,
I think that's a
sometimes there'll
subset
be a
of
feature you can't
Witch,
really do in PoE
right?
1, and it was always like, we'll do it in
so.
Project Chimera. That was like,
It wasn't a
nothing
subset of
amongst the
Sork, it was a
developers,
subset
and
of
people were like,
Witch.
what the heck is that? Now, ironically, there is a boss in Act 3 called, well, it's got a different name, but it's called the Chimera.
Witch, yeah?
Internally.
Okay.
It is a
Ignite
Chimera. It's
Flight
a
Regen?
multi-headed beast.
Exactly, dude.
You've seen it in
Yeah.
a few of the marketing
Of course, the
things
same, right,
here and
okay.
here, different trailers, little snippets of it. And I think it's just ironic that
Oh,
that
weird,
was
Horner.
actually
Well, you
the
got time.
first
Just,
boss
have
asset made
have another stream
before
open that's on
everything.
Path of
The
Exile
first
2's
monster,
tab. I'm
because
sure
back
there'll
when
be
we
plenty
used
of
to
them,
just
so.
make random monsters, and we'll find out how to use them. And that was made for that game. It was used in the original PoE 2 trailer.
Yeah, Witch.
Right?
I mean, I've
It
I've
is
played
the
Witch for like
only
6 hours when I was in LA,
technically, but only from
and it was
Exile,
really
the
fun.
last
Like
boss to
Spellcaster
finish
felt
in the
really
entire
good,
Path of Exile 2.
especially with being able to like move while channeling and stuff like that with certain combinations. It felt really good to play. So
We had a moment with the monster game designers where we're
like
like,
the
oh my
Sork
God, it's
the
happening,
Sork combo
Chimera
with
is
like Witch
finally
stuff
being
looks
finished.
insane.
Yeah, this is like, we
And then
were
Sork
thinking,
having
we
like
need to
cast on
celebrate
crit
this boss
elemental
finally being
vortexes
done.
and
It was
stuff
like,
looks really
that's
cool
the
as well.
origin,
So
and now it's at this point where we're about to
I think
deploy
I think the
access,
combos are going to be
not to say the end, 'cause
really
there's-
really
the
cool
end
with
is
it.
forever
I just
away.
like the succubus idea of going
Yeah, it's still the beginning
Ignite
of the journey in
Succubus.
many ways, huh?
Yep.
But on that note of celebrating, like, how do you guys feel having now kind of, for the first time, I feel really like laid bare kind of everything you have. You're putting it out there, and only being 2 weeks away from everyone playing it.
Well, it's always scary, coming into a release, and I think especially for, there's like a bunch of people on the PoE team who,
Girl sounds like a dire
this is their first game that they're going to be releasing.
What a weird brand I have.
This is something that, yeah,
Female
it's
character
tough.
who
Honestly, I think
ignites
that,
things.
Even we
Do I have
were
a type?
feeling a little bit cocky, actually, about the fact because
Do I want a gothic pyromaniac as a significant other in real life?
Knew,
Maybe.
what it took to get a game released, but honestly, like PoE 2 was just a whole entirely different demon as far as getting things out,
that's
right?
funny.
It's just way more difficult. Like when you actually have to make everything,
Why not?
like, the whole freaking thing, right?
could
right
go
from the
wrong?
ground up again. It's like wow, there's way
Honey,
more stuff
why is
there.
the bed
there's
on
even
fire?
things like the passive tree, where it's like I feel like we underestimated what it would take to get something like that to an actual releasable state. Like
Mind Over Matter was interesting because Mind Over Matter said take all damage against mana
to
first.
get that
It's
kind of
not
stuff in shape. Like,
percent anymore.
It's just been crazy.
So,
yeah, like it
wonder
obviously.
what you do with your life
coming
pool.
Coming up to a release day.
if you have enough mana.
I think we do have something that players are going to really enjoy, and like it's always comforting.
Yeah, we
when,
don't know how
when
mana
we had a
economy
live
works, true.
event in LA recently, people, we got to the time limit and everyone's like, oh man, we don't want to stop, so like I'm really, I think people are going to really enjoy it.
It's been a whole different experience for me here playing this time around as well, whereas before I was playing a very buggy internal version of the game that was very experimental. Now playing a, almost what I'm going to be playing. In
Well, I
2
heard you
weeks, so.
still managed to blow the count up the elevator with some kind of knockback bug.
I wasn't going to mention that.
Yeah, we have to get that one.
I did send the Act 1 boss up an elevator. With
I mean,
knockback.
true,
It was,
because
it
yeah.
was good.
Intended mechanic.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
He was in his like big wolf form and kind of trapped in there, so just barking at me through the wood. It's good.
Put the doggy in the box.
I'm sure there's a few
Yeah,
things
of
to
course,
work out
of
over this
course.
next 2 weeks. I hope the team can have a little bit of a rest for a day.
Underside of my
into it, mate.
desk, absolutely
No,
freezing.
it's been it's been
fuck?
a lot.
A
So you've done that
poltergeist under my
pivot
desk.
to the end game focus and got so much for us now to play around with in the beta, and it seems
Yeah,
like
it's gonna be hard to
originally
not.
I was thinking, we might be playing for a few weeks here, and then maybe going back over to some Path of Exile 1 stuff. But it seems like you guys want us playing through Christmas.
That would certainly be good. I mean, look, there's enough stuff there. I think it will take people a long time to get through.
Yep.
And I mean, obviously, it's also going to be the first time people are playing through a completely fresh campaign as well. I think that will take people a fair
Realistically
amount of time.
speaking, yeah. For, like, if you
So,
think
yeah,
of like
there's,
what
and then,
it's
of
gonna
course, the end
take
game as well
me
to
as a
explore.
content
Yeah,
creator.
it should be pretty significant.
I mean, what,
I mean,
6
we've always
classes,
wanted
2
it to be,
ascendancies
but,
per,
Path of Exile 2
getting all of them
leagues,
through
are going to be
a week each.
like how PoE1 leagues are.
Well, that's
where,
only
you play them and
12
you play them
weeks.
for like a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
And then sure, you get done with them eventually, and then you've got the next content that comes out. So in order to be able to realize that, you have to have enough of a base to make that happen.
Yeah, people are definitely wondering like how invested they can get in the beta.
Well, yeah,
so
I'm
I did wanna ask a few
counting
questions
it
kind of
like
around
at
that
current
idea.
PO1 speeds, right?
So
'Cause
is
Axe will
firstly, is
take
there
me
gonna
a
be
day,
wipes and resets,
and then,
will
you
there
know,
be something
whatever.
before launch as well.
So we are going to be having new leagues effectively throughout the beta whenever we launch something significant, because we want to make sure that all of the effectively that people are able to play through. But that stuff will be merged into an early access league, and effectively after we go into full release, that league will stick around. Now I can't promise that everything about your character will function exactly like
Surely
how
not.
it did.
Yeah.
I imagine it will be a glorious kind of snapshot of all of the here's all the broken
here's all the
stuff
broken
I
stuff.
have. Yeah.
But effectively, we can contain all that stuff in the sort of early access league, and then if you still want to play those characters, then you can go right ahead and do that. But the action is always going to be in whatever the most recent league is, and then of course after that point, there'll be a standard that everything goes into, which all our economic sins will forever.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's
in standard, so
even if it's a week
level.
per
Well, it's
ascendancy,
nice
it's
that
still
A, not gonna
fuck
be
ton of
affecting
game to
what will
play.
be the standard league.
Yeah.
Also,
That's the
that
idea.
people will be able to kind of get invested
I
in
wonder
their
how
characters.
the
because,
Absolutely.
I mean, there's even something kind of cool.
End
about the
game
idea
works
of
between
making something
characters.
That will be
You just
like
pick
that
up where your
little
other character's
historical piece.
exploration on the
Little
delve map
collectible.
is.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there'll be some handful of legacy things that only exist in early access leagues. So I guess
We can definitely cook a lot.
It gives a unique balance.
You talked about like the playing for a week or how long are we expecting?
Yeah.
Well, we also got to remember, and a lot of the PoE1 players will be thinking very differently to people who are obviously going to experience this as a new game, but it is a new game, right? You don't have all these predefined, hyper-refined builds to play to immediately, go through things. You don't have people coming in with like fully detailed 7 million line build guides of exactly what to do with what items. The discovery is going to be there. The discovery takes time, and the discovery is like honestly ultra fun for me. I love it. Now those things will emerge after time. Of course they do. Completely fine. But you should remember, like, there's a lot of game to play here to discover, to learn about the world, the new narratives, the new world building, the new unique items, the ascendancy classes. The
No matter where you are in the
tree,
house.
which is bigger than
Well, it's like
PoE1's. The end game
If you find a
systems, the
zone with a
bosses,
tower,
that,
right, and the
it's
tower
not
is
gonna
affecting
be
some
this,
things
like,
on there, but you don't want to do it on that character,
Personally, when a PoE1
and
league
you
comes
just
out, for
leave
example,
that
I play for
around
a
and then go
month.
search, like,
Sometimes a
instead,
bit
if that's to
longer,
the east,
sometimes
you're
a
going to
bit
go
less.
to the
It
west on a
ultimately
new
also
character
depends
and, like,
largely what's
explore
going on
that way
here
with
and how
those
much I need to
waystones.
invest here.
Is the
So,
overworld
there are
map
other people who
shared
play
per
for more like
characters,
3 and whatnot, but
like Delve
there's
is.
certainly going to be a much longer time
Yeah,
period
just go
you
to a
can
different
play this
area.
for while still discovering new stuff and not feel like you're finished. You know what I mean? Now, of course, you see that's subjective. Everyone can pick their own point when they finish, but if you want to see everything and do everything, you're going to be investing a lot more time, especially these first-time rounds, and then obviously with every league, there's more to discover, but you get faster at doing all these parts over and over and over again. You'll get more efficient over time. That's how the game works. So, yeah, I'd
Probably the
expect
first
a
character
lot
is
of
gonna be, like,
time to be
2 to
sunk
3
into this
weeks.
to fully explore it to start with, like a lot. Not a week, not 2 weeks. You're going to be going far, far longer than that if you want to see everything. But it's up to you. Play at your own pace. See how you want to go. Learn at your own pace. That's the beauty of a new game as well. Which we haven't been
Feedback. I
able to
don't
experience
think
in Path
they
of
should
Exile
say
1,
that it's going to take
or
that much
other
time.
games and for so long is actually
Because
discovering the entire world, and yeah, there's some familiar mechanics at the end game.
And fuck it up a dozen
which is awesome
times.
for
Yeah,
people,
true.
But, yeah, I certainly.
Because
want
2 to 3 weeks,
to
if you
really-
take 2
I'm
to 3
very
weeks
excited
my
to
time
see
versus 2 to
people
3 weeks somebody
discovering
else's
new
time,
things
those are
and
two
getting so
very
excited
different
about it.
times.
I can tell you're amped for watching people go through that discovery process. Maybe even
like
diving in yourself a bit.
100%.
I mean, I love sitting there in Path of Building, as many of us do, but I am very excited for that.
Oh,
that
yeah, it's
disco-
very
that
50 in the PC
discovery
Gamer,
process for a
yeah.
while.
I think you were saying how
Unmapped.
much you were
2 to 3
part
weeks,
spreadsheet.
well,
I think
divided
I'm like
3
I
weeks,
think I was saying I'm like
50
maybe
hours divided by 3
60%
weeks.
spreadsheet,
Okay, that makes
40%
more sense.
discovery, and that's my play
But
archetype.
50
You know,
hours
showing up
is
with our
less
player
than
profiles
a
and
week of
Timmy
me
spikes and
streaming.
things like that. For both of Exile characters. Yeah.
The discovery part of me is ultra excited, and
Yeah.
and oh, mind you,
Because of
that's coming
Cruel,
from someone
right.
who kind of knows all the content. I'm still, because there's something different about making it versus
Checks
actually
out,
playing
true.
it live with the players, seeing them discover it. Uniques being linked in chat and on Reddit and all
Yeah.
of that is just so cool. So we're gonna get a massive dose of that, and it is like genuinely exciting to just see how people are gonna think. You know, what's worth 1 chaos or what's worth 10 chaos, what's worth if chaos is even the metric.
yes, is chaos even the currency that people settle
We
on?
were arguing
Yeah,
about
yeah,
this
yeah.
earlier.
I'm pretty sure that 1 C spam in chat might turn into 1 E, because 1 exalt. Given that exalt is now.
I think it'll be chaos.
People probably-
the ad remove will still be.
People don't appreciate, by the way, like, so when we say we've increased, you're going to be getting multiple exalts in Act 1 in PoE 2. Like, we actually have increased that a lot. It isn't
Yeah.
just
Okay.
like an idle.
That's good.
I can see exalts becoming the new kind of like chaos. And
Yeah,
then,
I
and
think
then-
actually
I didn't
that
see
will be
any of
really
it when I was
fun.
playing in
I
LI.
actually agree. But we'll see.
But, like, that's my point.
But it's a new economy, right?
Who
Like, who
knows?
even knows?
Yeah.
The market will have to.
But I like that we're already arguing about
Yeah,
this. It's good fun.
Okay. Interesting.
So, do you have some kind of like beta release roadmap for updates and things like that for people to look forward to? With that
I mean,
as
we
well?
certainly did have one 6 months ago when we were, but now that we're,
feature creep, eh?
now that we're sort of getting to release, it's like, oh my god, like, we have to look at it. So, I mean, look, I don't think it'll be any less than 6 months. I think it could easily end up being more. I certainly don't want to. I mean, look, 2025. I think really want to be full release in 2025. I don't really want to be spending more than a year. That would be pretty crazy. But I mean, honestly, like, we have to get all the content finished and all that sort of stuff. We always feel like we underestimate these things, and of course we have to learn what we need to learn. We have to get the game to the point when it is really fun. We have to make sure that, like, all of the things, like, we've got the difficulty right for all the players, we've got the economy right, like all the stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're gonna
Let's thank them. Just do it in the other one. Do it in Ultimatum.
At least are gonna just
Also,
be
that's-
a scramble of, like,
or whatever the third one is gonna be.
This crazy thing out, and we found this thing, and, like, that's always scary.
Don't
because
have
it's
to do it in
just,
Sanctum.
when we add content to PoE 1, it's like at least the kind of base of stuff that we have is kind of, well tested and people know kind of what's going on with it. But here it's like just complete new world, and we're the kind of game
What am I
that
thinking?
has
They
a
gave
lot
us so
of
much
ability for
information that
players
my
to do
brain
stuff
went,
that we don't anticipate. We have,
And also, I'm
the-
gonna
just the way
league
support
start
teams
with
work and everything like
the
that. So I just
flaming hot
there's certainly a
succubus
lot of worry
thing
that, like,
that
there's
needs
just gonna
life
be
regen.
builds that are, like, completely ridiculous that we just never anticipated, combining certain things in different ways we don't expect. With hundreds of support gems, it can be like that. So that's going to be an interesting one.
It will happen.
Brain is
Right,
easily
it is
fried. It
inevitable,
is easily
right?
fried.
There's nothing we can even do
Life
about it,
stacking
because
on the succubus.
you need hundreds and thousands of hours of testing to be able to do that with what can only be done with hundreds of thousands of players. But that's also the magic of it all, which is awesome.
That's why I was asking you, like, are you literally
what's
really
interesting?
doing 12 classes and 36 sentences? Like,
I just
actually?
realized they never, like,
Absolutely, we have we know what we want to do.
they never
changed,
once
but-
mentioned dodge.
But we like a challenge. I mean,
In
a studio that produces a passive skill tree like we do, clearly has
this
a bit of a glutton
video.
with regard to just, like, mixing.
You
and
totally
things.
could have done 6 and then, like, oh,
With
no,
the
add it
blink,
all later
right?
in an expansion or something.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we could have. I mean, look.
Yeah.
This is the plan. This is the
dodge
plan.
becoming blink.
I mean, like, as
But
you go
otherwise,
through-
they
as we go
never
through early
brought
access,
it
It's
up.
gonna feel like there's just expansion content coming
The
up.
melee dude.
Just because we have all the stuff that
Yeah.
we kind of
Exciting.
got some of the
Gonna
way,
animation
a lot of the way
cancel it,
through, so-
right?
Yeah, there's stuff to come. I mean, look, I'm pretty sure. Like, I really want to get the druid out. Like, we announced it. We've talked about it. It's a lot of fun. I'm
Marketing
keen to get
change?
out there
I
as soon
think
as we
so.
can. The huntress we've talked a bunch about as well. There's, like, those kinds of things. I think
They
we'll
showed in
be-
the classes,
we'll be
yeah.
able to move,
But not as
towards
much,
those
right?
pretty
Not as much as
quick.
they've
There's obviously more to do.
they
The other thing
they've
you
hammered it
mentioned
in the
talking
past.
roadmap,
I wonder
like, things
why.
is, we've always been you know, it's hard to predict because a lot of
DS
what will
vibe.
happen is, and what
I'm
we
thinking
leave
that's what's
space for
happening, yeah.
is reacting to what the players want. And so if you plan everything for so long, you're going to have very, very, very slow reaction times to fixing.
I think that's why. I think they're getting away from it being a Dark Souls game,
the campaign
which
needs
I
more
think
of
is
this,
a
or
good
this class
idea.
needs more of this or something. So if you're planning,
because
then you're going to
I
be
think that
delivering
was the
what
wrong
they
marketing
want solved
plan.
like a year down the line or even longer.
Right,
And where we like to remain very, very dynamic and like, you know, you want to be able to fix that stuff like, oh, well, this is the main problem. Like, sure, obviously you need more than a week sometimes. Most of the time. But we want it generally to be that the
it's a
next
different type of
releases,
sanctum.
expansions, updates, whatever, can alleviate as many of those problems as possible.
Optional bosses
So,
for permanent buffs.
the-
Yeah, if a boss
try
gives
not
you
to get too
10% cold
strict with
resist,
the
that's not
planning
optional.
has generally
That's
been our philosophy because
required.
especially when it comes to actually having the live service product out. Because that is very, very important.
growing in
Otherwise,
vocal voice,
you're
right?
never gonna
Because
seem like you're doing what people want.
Do you guys see
and
the new
what are you
Control
doing
game?
if not
Control
that?
2 is going to be an action RPG.
that
That's
actually
kind of
is
weird.
a good point. Like I was going to ask, what do you folks, what does the team want out of the beta? Because obviously it's like a good way
I
to
hope
market
the map
game,
version
but
gives it
it's
as well,
also,
yeah.
You know, key to shaping the game in the future. Like the actual beta, it's not just early access.
I think one of the most important things is I think it's going to be really good for the development team to get back into a live mindset and like get it back into the idea of like
on the radar.
everything we make is shipping.
People are
soon,
seeing
you know,
this.
like get back into this. You know, people are seeing. You know, like actually getting back into that and like and like being able to sort of see directly like okay, we make something, it goes in the game, people like it, don't like it, like that kind of stuff. Like and that really like that has been our studio for like most of its lifetime. Obviously, we you know before we released PoE1 it wasn't, but after that point, I mean, we are a company like. We are a company that likes to think that we can do live service better than anyone else. Like that is our goal. And so, like getting back into
I think they're pretty right.
for the entire, for everyone in the studio, so that everyone's working on things that are going to be releasing within, you know, certainly in less time than than 3 months away. Is going to think be really good.
That's a
for us.
big claim. I think them and
I look
Warframe are
forward
the
to
two
just
that
being able to
can
do that because these long term,
hold
like
that
really
ground.
long term things like that span over years. It's like you go so long without proper feedback, like stuff kind of gets made and then like
They're the company that
it's not
can do
really
live
in a
service
real
the best.
game, and so it doesn't get
probably
tested
lose
properly.
perspective
And you absolutely lose perspective on this stuff. So I think that that's just going to be really great to get back to that again.
Yeah. I honestly, as you said, it is early access. It is a beta period, and I'd say, you know, personally speaking, the thing that, and we mentioned it briefly about the character balance and the builds that are broken and all that. That's obviously.
Oh yeah,
pretty
general
useful to
public.
me,
I mean,
right?
fuck. If you ask most people, it's
Plus
gonna be
we have
fucking
other systems
Fortnite or
in
something,
there,
right? Like something that does
you know,
simple
the
updates like
checkpoint
that.
system,
Apex.
right? You have to kill the boss in one life. You know, these are things we haven't mass tested, and obviously other games have, and they work, and that's awesome. There are other things like, you know, the end game system is a little bit less forgiving in that if you die, you fail the map, right? These things are things that we obviously need to test and iterate on in the future.
Gacha games,
by
true,
adjusting
yeah.
the difficulty and stuff like that, and you, especially as you get towards this point of, you know, the end game. Like, okay, Act 1 has been tested like crazy.
Yep.
Right, and you get less and less testing as it goes on because you get less people. You know, they've just been around for less time. And so, yeah, it's going to be a huge amount of iteration and feedback and from the players and us just, you know, reevaluating all the stuff. And the thing is, we're always dynamic about that stuff. Like, we'll just change things if it's wrong. We'll redesign it. We'll come up with a new way. Jonathan's a firm believer of if A doesn't work and B doesn't work, then we'll find C, we'll find option C, we'll find option D, and we'll keep changing things and we'll make it work. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of that iteration
I'm
on
really
our
curious
design decisions, how forgiving,
how
because like the game
dodge
is
roll feels now.
pretty hard. You know, it can be pretty hard. And so when you're on that fine line of like, you know, if things are difficult,
the D.
you know, it's not too easy to know if you've tilted one way or the other. So, you know, finding what everyone agrees should be the common corrected difficulty is something that I will obviously be paying very, very, very close attention to.
It's a pretty hard thing to nail down when you are making the game.
Action RPG difficulty is
And so we've
insane
seen that a lot
to
where
nail down.
Folks have been pretty willing to change and then rechange and rechange again. Some of the core features like flasks and the waypointing system and portals, and you're keeping that kind of mindset going into the beta then.
Of course. I mean, look, we're always willing to change stuff. Like that flask thing, like the most recent change to that was like ultra recent.
Yeah.
Right, 'cause, yeah.
Have we even had like a closed beta of that yet? Was it? No, I think we haven't. Yeah. But I mean, I think it's way better than it was. Like it's the things have improved a lot. And honestly, like that's one of those things we've been wanting to do something to sort out flasks for ages.
Yep.
And it really came about because when actually looking at what new players were having trouble
Necro, man.
with,
Necro's going to be really
playing,
good.
Flask piano was actually like even from the very beginning of the game actually ended up being one of those things that like people just had trouble just like just the manual dexterity required to like hit all your different flask keys and then you have to know when one of your flasks run out so you can move to the next one and like various things like that. Like all that stuff actually was like just a weirdly large amount of mechanical complexity right from the very beginning.
Well, it's the end piano. That'd be
even
fucking
in-game, I
insane.
think
You
was
couldn't
really
do
that
it.
satisfying either because you ended up with like just like having to press all these buttons all the time, and obviously it's all utility flasks that people are using at in game. And then we kind of tried to band-aid this in PoE 1 with the some of the flask automation stuff that was added there, but there was still this idea that that you're still more powerful if you don't automate. So therefore, it's like there's that trade-off there. So
You're just more powerful if you get mage blood, really.
Sure.
I mean, it's all automated, and you're very powerful.
Yeah, sure, all right. But so the point is, effectively,
They
the charm stuff that
know.
we're doing effectively means that you no longer the game is making that decision of like that stuff will be automated. You no longer have to do
That's
that
funny.
like, crazy flask piano to get the best the best out of your character. And I think
Straight
that's
up, you're
definitely a
just
step
more
in the right
powerful if you
direction.
have mage blood.
And the other thing as well is it actually makes the crafting more meaningful, I think, on the flasks, because when you've got like 5 slots, then like the individual mods and the individual stuff like seems to tend to not matter as much. I mean, obviously, people want instant recovery and things like that, but like but like now it's like it's much more meaningful. Like on your life flask, the choice between do I want instant or do I want way more life, like that kind of stuff actually can be a lot more meaningful once you've only got one. So yeah, I think it is a lot better personally.
You have we'll jump ahead to Floss since we're on the topic. You have locked in effectively the fact that there's a mana flask there now, so there's always going to be a mana flask slot. And how does that tie into your design for mana? And are we always going to be using a mana flask slot, or if we solve another way, what does it do?
You can absolutely solve another way, and then you'll just have a flask slot that isn't doing anything for sure. But I think it kind of has to work that way because we really don't want. Because like once you sort of start getting into changing that around, I feel like the system sort of starts to break with regard to like the feeling of like I know where mana is, I know where my health is, like that kind of stuff. That being said, we've always got uniques and stuff like that. I believe there's already
there is a unique that allows you to equip 2 life flasks.
But the thing is, then that's a build choice that you're making.
Oh,
so it's a little
okay.
bit different, and that's fine. I think the system as it works now it's a lot easier.
So it does sound like on the mana side of things then that there are going to be multiple angles of solving mana, not necessarily flasks.
James
Edition
I'm pretty hyped. I'm pretty hyped. A lot of information.
And it
A lot of
finally got right
information.
this time.
But I'm hyped. Cautious,
and,
but
I
hyped.
think it works, and I think it's good. So I think that Leech will be more common.
I'm not going to have to like crack out the leech diagram showing the different buckets and things like that.
I was saying, I think that Leech might be. No, I think. I was going to say Leech is one of the topics in the studio that has wasted the most designer time of anything in the industry. But I actually don't think it's that. I think the actual worst offender is what stats should Dex give you. I think that is like
Dex
everyone
stats.
has wasted there's so many arguments about that.
I'll buy it through Steam instead.
Like, we know about the leech ones.
I'll, I'm pretty sure I have a key.
But no one has a better idea than what accuracy that it can give. And then, like everyone's going to come up with like in chat a bit. I bet they'll be like saying, "Oh, it can give this or this, whatever." But there's like, seriously, there's been endless arguments about that topic. It's like it's outrageous.
Yeah. You've got me thinking about it now.
Yeah.
I mean, speed would be good, but then that's probably too much. That's too much.
Something like Dex, you just can't.
Dex stacking speed.
We can get all the designers down here right now.
Yeah, I know. But we'll just have it out again. We'll just have it out again.
The longest Q&A of all time.
It's already going to be that.
Sometimes you're just like, you start the day, you're like, all right, here are the problems we need to solve, and then you're like,
what about?
But then accuracy on Dex comes up again.
No, it's 3 p.m. and we're still discussing dexterity.
So I go home. Just make it accuracy again.
Holy shit.
Exactly. That is literally how it comes back to accuracy every time.
This is okay.
Yeah.
Rewinding a little bit.
Right, Gibbs, yeah.
We can't forget our roots with Path of Exile 1, of course. So for the PoE 1 enjoyers, what is the plan for PoE 1 during the course of this beta? Is there going to be leagues launching? Is it on the back burner?
Okay.
Yeah, there absolutely will be leagues launching. Now, I don't know the exact date, but the plan is kind of late February.
Yep.
But I mean, look, it's
Late
we'll see what happens.
February?
I will admit, Unfortunately, we did have to steal a few PoE1 resources just towards the end here, which is kind of been a bit unfortunate.
So
I
we're
really
pretty
wish we
much
didn't have
playing
to.
Poe too.
But, yeah, as I said, we kind of underestimated some of the stuff. But
Pretty much.
Everyone is going to be going back to PoE1 again for the February League, and we're going to make sure that we can do that. Like one of the things that was a big problem for our studio when we had a long-term project and a short-term project, is that. You've always had that thing of like you always want to work on the short-term thing.
So it's
So
like,
now that we've got
fuck,
two
no.
short-term things coming up, I actually think it's going to be a bit easier to prioritize in some respects because,
Funnily enough.
it's like it's just like it's all
fair
that
enough,
stuff
Nix.
is then is like coming up soon. So, but we'll see how it goes. But we need to get that PoE1 expansion out next.
Yeah, obviously, I just want to always make it clear that, the reason why things can't be so planned out is, again, we're just releasing this game.
Yep.
Obviously, we pivoted to endgame, and then that needed more resources. And then, of course, combined with the fact that, things obviously change. There are unpredictable things in the environment.
It happens,
We can't
yeah.
necessarily guarantee. And then, of course, you have,
Balm is my beard routine.
Christmas coming up and all of that, right? There's so many variables to consider, but we also don't know how much time is going to be invested necessarily or need to be invested into live operations for post-release. How many problems are going to go wrong? How many builds how many of the uniques are broken?
True
How many,
Grit is
and
fucking
where do all these resources go? There are
an
like
emote.
just millions of variables here to consider, and so like it can get very, very difficult, especially at this time. But once you release, you have a grace period, so to speak, where well, more like a period
yeah,
of
bald is
extreme
my
amounts of
routine.
fire, where we're putting out fires everywhere. But we have a period where we're fixing everything. You get everything stable, and then we're going to be like, all right, let's recalibrate, figure everything out, and what is our plans,
True
and then
Grit.
establish all of that, based also on the feedback we get from that period where everything's on fire.
Conscious choice?
Not to
Sort
make
of,
it
yeah.
sound like it's gonna be bad, but that is the inevitability. Is that there's always
I'm
problems.
balding, but
It's
I
good from a
keep
player
it short
perspective.
because I have
There's always gonna
psoriasis.
be- There's always going to be like, oh my god,
Yeah,
people
we're
found
gonna-
this, and we don't have
On my head.
fire.
So
Yeah.
shaving my hair makes my
Like
phorasis.
ideally, the best
Get
time
rid of
thing
it,
is when
so.
we're able to fix some kind of exploit before.
I don't
people
need
even
any
hear
kind of
about it.
expensive
Yeah, and when I say
things
exploit,
to
I'm sure
fix
that's some
it
broken
by
thing,
just
like,
not having
if
hair.
so we obviously normally have to worry about like the whole mid-league nerf concept, but it's like if you can deal with something within like
Makes
an hour
things
or
easier.
two of it happening, then it's like you're kind of okay because
Just channel the inner
no
Viking.
one had a chance to kind of like.
I mean, I am
everyone-
finished,
everyone
so
swapped
I
their
do
door
have
with
that.
or whatever.
Well,
But,
we weren't really
we have to
Vikings.
be really on the ball for PoE2 just because there's
Kind
so
of
many things
were,
that are new.
but not really.
Well,
Not
I
as
mean,
much as the
look,
neighbors.
We have several bosses with several elevators. How many of
How
them
many
can
of
be
them can
pushed
be-
up the elevator? You know what I mean? Well, that's what
How many can be pushed up the elevator?
I'm talking about bosses getting pushed up elevators. Like that's not okay.
I am
Or
liking
maybe
my
it is okay.
mercenary flashbang knockback is very fun.
I mean, true, yeah, we get clumped in either
You
way.
need to look into that, by the way. The whole flashbang.
I feel like you're gonna nerf my
Neighbors
build.
are
Is this when he's
Stay away
just
from my
finding
grenade.
fires
Sword
already?
Swedes and Denmarkians.
No, these are the fun things.
Thrive.
Discovering that stuff can be
I've
very fun for
been
the players. It's
Sweden
just
like
internally,
once.
It's like, oh no, what are we doing? It can get a little bit panicky after release, and it there's lots of things going
But
on.
in
You're like,
Norway,
oh,
way
geez,
more.
what do I
But
sell
just
first?
fishing
But,
up north.
Obviously, it's the same as PoE1. We're good at it at this point.
Got some
you know,
experience.
yeah.
Indie belts. You aren't going to be torturing us with like releasing beta stuff at the same time as PoE2 league launch, PoE1 league launches.
Yeah, the plan is to keep them separated a bit
Thank
from
you.
each other so that
Switching
you get a
their
chance to play
legs.
with
Don't make me
both teams.
choose.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, so they're not.
we
They're
saw
gonna
a
make sure that
cinematic.
stuff doesn't launch on
To
top
put
of
it
each
lightly.
other.
It was that was quite epic, and I know it's been
Interesting.
cooking for quite some time, and that was pretty exciting. But we've also seen just a lot of story stuff happening on a much higher level than
Absolutely.
previously now. So
Oh yeah, fuck, we got a
definitely
full
storytelling game
cutscene.
here
I
a bit.
forgot
so
about
we're really
that.
wanting to make sure that the storytelling in PoE2 is much better
Holy
than it was
shit.
in PoE1. There's a lot more kind of, I guess, that kind of like stuff with the introductions to boss fights and the outros and things like that, like all that stuff. We've just got a lot more storytelling going in. All of those things. We do have the intro cutscene. There's also kind of like light, like between the acts. There's these kind of like more kind of motion graphic type cutscenes, just kind of establish things. And,
Okay.
there might be some more surprises later on in the game as well.
Yeah,
not
it's
in early
on
access,
Twitch.
unfortunately.
There,
Later
that's
on
the page.
that
I just got it.
that you can see as well. But ultimately, we just want to make sure that, I think a lot of people who got through the PoE1 story had no idea what was
Say
happening
this.
by the end.
Cinder's life.
And
Should say
so,
like here.
Effectively, we want to make sure that that is not
Like,
the case this time
that
around.
you've gotten
People
it,
really
or, like,
are
what's
able to
going on.
absorb things. But
Guilty.
one thing I will say though is that it's ultra important to us that we don't break the feeling that like when you're playing a second time, that it feels like we don't want it to feel annoying the second time.
We were talking about this morning. About you don't take the control out of the player's
exactly.
hands.
So yeah, I'm personally a believer of the fact that if you just when you change the camera position for a cutscene, immediately it feels way more annoying. Like because there's this whole thing of like if you click on an NPC and like the camera changes position, like sure when you're playing through the campaign the first time, that kind of thing is like like that can be cool. But then if you're like you're playing through the second, third, fourth, fifth time, you want to be able to go to the NPC and go click, 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 and just get past, and without it feeling like you've had to sort of worry about anything. So yeah, like effectively, we want to make sure that it's still that we still have that, because ultimately, we're a game you expect people to play through many times. So ideally, we can kind of deliver both the situation where the first time you play through it, it feels like an amazing story that you're getting, that you're taking seriously, that you're understanding. That
I just thought give us like
all the sort of touch points and
dialogue skip as an option.
Things just all through, while also maintaining the fact that if you know what you're doing, it's like you don't have to go talk to some quest giver just to get a quest. Like you can just go do the thing, without having to talk to someone about it first. So that kind of stuff is really important, just to make that stuff work well when you know what you're doing.
Yeah, you said something this morning that stuck with me, where you said like Path of Exile is a game where the player's meta knowledge is allowed and encouraged.
Absolutely. So
you're
yeah,
allowed to cheat.
Oh yeah, that's actually a good point. You don't have to go talk to someone first to go get like a component.
Needs to be sufficient as far as like being able to progress the storyline. If you don't want to have it so you just talk to an NPC just to find out something you already knew as a player.
If you kill this boss, you get the next area's waypoint. So you just like kill it, log out, log in, waypoint, right?
I love doing that.
Meta knowledge.
Yeah, you get the golden hand, then give it to them. You don't have to go to the guy to get the quest to get the golden hand.
The kind of the context for the beast and how that leads into the cutscene in the beginning of PoE 2 from PoE 1, and that I think helped put it in a lot more perspective for me and made me appreciate and understand what's going on with the story.
So
here
effectively, what you're seeing in the opening cutscene is
the opening looks like a monitor. So like learn which ones to do.
That is going to be is growing now. In PoE 1, the beast was killed. And then what happened in response to that is a bunch of all the gods in the world were able to, effectively rise again. And you killed a bunch of them, but there are more, in the world. And effectively, we don't want to spoil too much about the storyline overall, but effectively, obviously someone here, the Count is wanting to harness the power of the beast once again. And then we have the mysterious figure there who is saying, no, don't
What
do
are
this.
you doing?
This always turns out badly.
There was a comment in chat that I loved that was like, "Stop opening Eldritch boxes."
Yeah, exactly.
What is wrong with this world?
Yeah.
I would.
If someone handed you a mysterious orb, wouldn't you press the button?
I mean,
definitely not, Sid.
Exactly.
I mean, it is true. If someone hands me a box that looks weird and has a button, I'm pressing the button.
Take me.
Indeed.
Yeah, Swan. I'm doing the same thing.
Earlier, where
Demon
you were watching
waifu
it and you
high?
were like, "Oh, we really need to rename that passive because he's a Karui and it's a wolf. It's called a wolf."
He was like,
the
"Ooh,
Great
button."
Wolf, obviously being
So he went out there and
Islamite history.
You started telling him.
I stomped out of the room. And I was like, we need to rename that notable. He's Karui. And then I was kindly reminded that actually he was
an orphan who...
Rewarding the story. Yeah, they kind of are. Copy my build. I don't know about that now.
And so, yes, there is a mixture of Karui and Islamite background. And I was like...
It works. You were wrong.
Fair enough. I walked back in here all sad and whatever. My bad. It's fine. The name is good.
He looked so chastised when he came back in. But that just like... points to the fact that I feel like you're doing a lot more with the characters here.
I figure out how to block that window, but also keep it openable.
So, with
that's wild.
We just think a lot about this kind of stuff. So the acolyte of, and I always get this name wrong. The acolyte of is it Chalula? Chayula. I always say this.
Chayula.
The acolyte of Chayula, for example. So that we have this sort of storyline with the origins of the monks, where there's like an order of monks who worship a thing they call the Dreamer, and the Dreamer
has one damage taken, Luke. If we have those, I mean, we have the ignite
don't know this.
things,
They're
but
effectively
we don't know
worshiping a
the
breach
extent
demon.
of what we get
The
ported
Acolyte
over.
Fiora is effectively you embracing the fact
And if
that
it's
I'm worshiping
considered
a
as
breach
damage
demon, I'm just
taken.
going to go all the way. And you know,
I'm in too deep now.
yeah, exactly. We're just gonna
Warning
do
story
it.
for the
Yeah, there's
demons.
a lot of thinking like that goes into these things. Like
That's
you know,
when
what's
damage
the
taken,
history of
right?
these,
But is it
people,
like
you know,
enemy
because
damage
I think
taken,
a lot of
or
that stuff
you know, do we
inspires,
need like
interesting
heart bound
mechanics as
loops
well.
thing
So,
to
for
make it so that
example,
we
on
take
that one,
damage
you've
from
got
something
that
else
into
and
the breach
stuff?
skill, which kind of means
Like,
you
is
know, you're
Demon
always
Mommy
gonna
gonna
break all
actually
the
hurt
time.
herself
See, but,
in a
like,
way
the
that
things
cast
go
on damage
on,
taken
that
triggers?
stuff is, I think that there's a lot of cool inspiration there. So coming up with that storyline stuff. For,
certainly,
for
yeah.
that stuff, I think
There's a
better.
couple other little things that I think is cool as well, and hopefully people will notice and pay attention to. So there's one of the bosses that was shown as uses a lot of time or chronomancy, and interestingly, if you are a sorceress and you ascend to chronomancer and you then go to fight that boss, if you, for example, try to use time freeze. The boss is like, yeah, that doesn't work on me. And has a dialogue line. And if you cast temporal chains on them, he's like, you know, just puts it back on you. And it's like, yeah. And so there's interesting things like that. And it
That's
doesn't
funny.
like change things on a grand scale, right? It doesn't make a certain class not viable or anything like that. But there's just interesting little quirks and quips everywhere.
What do you
Different
what do you
bosses
think would have
different
happened
intro
here?
lines depending on what class you're playing. They have different skill lines sometimes depending on what class you're
Be
playing.
the demon wife, you're like, wait a
Got different
second.
dialogue all through the campaign for different classes, like the sorceress is obviously from the Maraketh. When she goes back to the Maraketh, there's kind of a little backstory there about how she was banished originally. So you know she needs
It's
to
literally
you know,
Hades
she
too.
needs to be accepted back into their culture again. You know, like we've got things like you know the character we talked about earlier. So the warrior, you know, was an orphan. You know, he was brought up by actually one of the NPCs in Act 1 town. So obviously there's a whole different dialogue there because he's effectively his
That's
adopted
cool.
son. You know, we've got things like that.
I mean, the first playthrough is going to be
There's
fun.
a lot of
Listen to
thought
the
that's gone
dialogue,
into, you know,
learning
trying
the
to make it
world.
feel like all these character classes have
It's going to be slower.
some level
It's
of
going to be
involvement
fun.
with the world. You know, they didn't just come into existence the moment that you.
What in massive
um,
messes. Hell yeah.
Other little things. So, like more on the narrative side, obviously we saw the world map. You have the icons that show different things that are in each act, like all the things you want to explore,
Such a good
find,
idea.
and yeah, awesome. But each of them also has a little bit of a kind of little bit of text on them as well. And like,
Instead-
for
just
example,
two giant
the,
sticks.
There's one in
Drum
one of
beat
the
on
first
some
areas in
fools.
the game that's just like a camp of Iron Count guards, and you know, we showed it in a trailer when the Ranger class trailer we did. You know, whenever it was, you saw the Ranger kill some of them because they were trying to like hurt a child, you know, and the child was just trying to get some food. And the Ranger just like snipes them with arrows and kills them ruthlessly. And so you read this thing and you're like, you know, you hear whispers of an Iron Count, you know, scouting party that was slain by a rogue archer or something like that. So you get these little things where we're like connecting a lot of little dots, and
That's
even
cool.
that you absorb a little bit of interesting little information. You've got other things, for example, when you enter an area, it not only says the name at the top now, it has almost a subtitle text that's giving you a little bit
of history.
and
or
these little things like somehow
flavor.
make the world building feel so much better. And
Gone
when you
everything.
approach certain landmark rooms, and you walk into them, you'll get a banner at the top as well, which says what it is and gives again a little bit of a thing. And all these little micro narrative delivery mechanisms like make you feel way more immersed in the world and way more aware of what's going on and way more connected to your character, way more connected to the bosses, to the NPCs. It's yeah, there's a lot we're doing now that we certainly never did before. We didn't even think of before. But yeah, it's
Okay,
I
okay.
like that a lot because, like,
Good
as
world
an action
building.
RPG gamer, I don't really care too much about plot, but I do want a really cool world to be blowing monsters up in. Basically, that's okay. I want the characters to be cool, I want the baddies to be cool, and I want like the things. happening
The
around me
game
that,
looks
like,
really
you know,
nice, yeah.
you know,
I will
build out
say
a
that
bit
it
of
looks
that
really nice.
story without me having to stop
The
killing
one
stuff.
hesitation I have
And
is they did
it's
have a
cool
lot
that
of
it's more
frame
that
stutter,
going on as
that
well,
I'm
which is
wondering
cool.
if that was
Well,
the recording
the
or if
baddies
that's the
being
game.
cool, I mean, that's
Um,
that's how we
watching you
almost
cook.
designed an ascendancy class in here just
You
before
wait
we
a
were
day.
watching that trailer earlier.
So
Stalker is in a
you were-
bad
you were
state.
taking a shadow. You came up with a shadow ascendancy.
Yeah. Well,
What I'm playing right now
Charlie
is
I was watching the trailer yesterday, getting excited about it, and then
Something.
I was like, I want to play that. I want to play that character. I want to be that character.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That like kind of Val Thaumaturge type character, and so like
Cool.
all
It
of
is
a sudden
glitchy.
it's like we should make that a class.
Not bad.
And
Yeah.
then we had another guy like suggest it should be a shadow, and so now I'm like, oh yeah, we're definitely come on, we have
Really
to
clip,
do a
yeah.
Thaumaturge like shadow
sick.
ascendancy. Like that's gonna be cool. And you can do awesome things now. Even
Yeah, so the thing that's broken, I'll explain it really quickly. The thing that's broken in Stalker is they use a simulation system called A-Life, and this was supposed to be A-Life 2.0. A-Life is not in the game. It doesn't work.
For the there's little things.
There is no simulation system for the AI to exist within the world, thus the world is empty. It just randomly spawns AI on top of you that instantly know where you are and instantly start firing at
What we
you.
also want to do is add tattoos as well that like glow blue when you're using certain skills and all that. So heaps of little things that again connects all the culture and all that stuff together and make you feel like it's believable as opposed. And this is
Basically, I've only game today. I might still keep playing today just to see.
Makes picking an ascendancy more epic. I know that there was a part.
Oh,
in
in 2 weeks, guys are okay.
Fully finished where you ascend and it doesn't really. Do
Man, it's
anything,
really
but
late
kinda
in.
you
You'd
want it to
think
be
they'd
like
have that
a
information
cool moment
already.
where some power goes into
absolutely.
You
We just hadn't finished the VFX yet.
Even the another one, the Blood Mage. When you play the Blood Mage, now you get an additive surge on your character. Whenever you cast spells, you're getting like almost bloodbending kind of vibe going on, and like
drawing it from the veins and sending out a fireball.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's real cool.
Yeah, you can have like the tattoos get tattooed on them as they ascend and things like that. I mean, that just makes taking Ascendancy way more cool.
I want
which
invasion
it's already,
people
I think,
to play.
I almost feel like Ascendancy is more important than the classes for players kind of like feeling the vibe of what they want to do.
Right,
with their
DPL,
character.
yeah.
For
The
sure,
rest of the
'cause
game
I mean,
is
the classes are
not
pretty
Stalker
open.
at
You
the
can play
moment.
whatever skills, whatever weapons. Sure, you're on a passive tree at a start point, but by high level, you kind of go wherever you want to go. Using jewels, especially getting off-class stuff, you can kind of be whatever you want with the base class.
Yeah.
So eventually, the ascendancy is what becomes more of that important identifying feature because that's what you have actually chosen that makes you distinct. That
I mean, even in
different
Poe 1
class
right now,
will
you
be able
don't
to
talk
actually
about being a
have.
ranger
So,
ever.
yeah.
You talk about
so you
being a
wanna make that
pathfinder, or
super
you
cool.
talk about being an elementalist or
And
something.
on that note, I know I was definitely confused. I know people were definitely confused and a little worried about Ascendancy and what's happening with that. And people were like watching the Sekima trial and being like, oh, what if I don't like this? Oh, is this another lab again? But I want you to like lay it out as like simply as
Saying
possible.
that's
Like
different?
how
No, he was saying this.
Yeah,
That's
so effectively,
essentially the same.
In the full game, there's going to be 3 Ascendancy trials. For early access, there's 2. And effectively, you can use any of those Ascendancy trials to be able to do your Ascension.
you choose.
You choose which one. And effectively, if you as you get to higher level keys for those trials, that will unlock more points. Like if you do it at certain level breakpoints, that will allow you to get more points for those classes. So if you want to just play the entire, just only the Trial of the Chaos God with to get all your points, then you can just decide to do that. Just play it at higher and higher levels, and you get more points as you go through. If you want to do a mix, that's fine too. Personally, I think people will want to try out all the different content.
damn,
you
Tato.
might think that you, but even,
Yeah, I'm
even
gonna do
within the
2
trials,
romantic.
There's choices.
I'm gonna
right?
listen to this and
I
then
know
take a
that there's
break
always
for about an
contention
hour,
around
come back.
traps,
That way, these are
but,
2 different
because
VODs.
in the because in the trial of the Sekimas, you can choose which rooms you want to go to. If you don't want to deal with traps, you just don't pick those rooms, right? Like
Yeah, you don't go to the gauntlet
don't go
rooms.
to the gauntlet rooms. You can just go to other things
Do
and
the
do
combat
do the
ones.
combat ones, and that's
Yeah.
fine too. So effectively, it's like you always get to choose like what you're doing there.
Interesting.
Like it's funny because like I know
About to come through? No, I'll probably play Stalker still for a
also there are
day, just to
people who
see.
enjoy that stuff. So we want to have something for all those people too.
There's these
It's
like
Path of
Well,
Exile,
stream was sponsored
divisive
for 2.5
content, but
hours. Oh,
lots of
really?
choice, and you can choose what to do and what not to do, and then we're embracing that here now, and that is.
I mean, you're
just a win.
clearly leaning into that now. You have well, I mean, such a competitive advantage in that you have so much content, and even with PoE 2, that's still going to be the case. So
Dylan?
you can lean into that, like making content that is spicier but divisive.
For sure.
And now you're like separating trees and having these.
I
Things be
might
able
pause
to
as
be
well,
focused
DPL.
on.
I don't know. I'll think about it when I get
And you
when
do
I
have
get back
the
on.
trial with the ascendancies.
Because without
So-
A Life, I
and
don't
you
know
can,
if
like,
it's
you
worth
can kind of
playing.
do all of them and drip feed yourself.
It is a
as
fair
well,
point.
And I mean,
progression if you want.
and there's also stuff that you're going to be getting from those, like specific rewards and everything
Yeah.
that might incentivize you to do that. But of course, on the other hand, if you don't
Oh,
want to
did
do that
they nukes?
content, we have full open trade, right? You can just trade for the rewards, and that's
Yeah.
fine too. So like that's always part of the.
Yes, like the rewards there, for example, like jewels drop throughout the world. But if you want to get more jewels, you go.
I might play more
Now,
Master
if you wanna
Kung
get the
Fu,
radius
or I
jewels,
might play
you
the
do
Potato
well,
DLC,
sent away
or we can finish up Drova.
So just so for anyone who isn't a Path of Exile 1 player, this is effectively a sequel to Sanctum League that we did in Path of Exile
Yeah.
1. So it's mechanically very similar.
I got stuff to
but
play.
it's obviously a Marraketh, like a Marraketh trial now, and we've changed a lot of things about it have changed, and like the content is new, but it is effectively the same overall mechanic.
Yeah.
In terms of that sort of roguelike mechanic that we have.
And it's the same with the other one. You have Ultimatum and PoE 1 being the theme, and of course now it's redesigned and it's evolved into Trial of Chaos. So yeah, a lot of people in chat would have been spamming Ultimatum, and for those who haven't played, would probably be like, "What? I don't
What is
understand."
this?
Yeah, effectively, the Trial of the Chaos of Chaos is a sequel to Ultimatum, which is
And we just have to get used to the new
Ultimato.
names, which is very hard. But yeah, anyway, the point being, like, of course, and Val Orbs drop in the world as well. And if you want a larger dose of Val Orbs, and you don't want to trade, go feel free to run some ultimatums. Thing is, because they're all item generated keys as well, it's not like you have to do it right then and there. You can trade the keys away. At any point, you can also buy more keys if you want to farm more of that thing. And if you just want to do it later, just stockpile a bunch
the ability
of them,
to
run them
trade
all
is
at your-
always
at your
going to just
leisure, you know what
allow.
I mean, it's like
I just
you have the
realized
freedom,
Ziggy's got
they
some
are
boots on.
Itemized, tradable, as a lot in
Yeah,
Path
so
of
the
Exile
ability to
tradition,
trade is
but
always going to make it
as
so
is
that
everything,
you
right?
can
We
just
do-
run
yeah,
whatever
the
content you want
only
to
thing
do.
you can't trade is gold.
Yeah.
So we're like the exact opposite of most games, where it's like the gold is freely tradable and the items get locked. We're like the gold is the only thing you can't trade, and
Where the
every other item is
fur?
free and open.
got leather
and that's
boots.
because you've made gold be this like way to be like you're playing.
Yeah,
the
we got the
game, so you
currency
have access
exchange
to
that's
this,
staying
and
around.
Absolutely.
so you
Yeah,
don't want
that's
to throw
good to
that
see.
away.
Effectively.
Yeah.
At least in
So
Pro 2.
how on the ascendancies and the trials, how hard do you foresee getting your ascendancy to be while leveling? Do you expect people to fail out and attempt these things
2
multiple
weeks
times,
until
and what does that
Pro 2?
look like if you do?
Well, I failed the first time I did this
Yeah.
for the trial.
It is important to know that first itemized key is a quest key, and we have special rules around it that if you do fail, you can just repeat it, right?
You changed
okay.
that recently because
Yes, I did.
that was something that I didn't actually realize you'd changed. I guess it was a little bit too harsh to require to get another one.
Yeah, you weren't the only one failing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so pretty much
Wow.
you get to reattempt it, and for something like Ultimatum, just to immediately start thinking of exploits. It's like, I can just do 3 of the waves, then intentionally fail, and then repeat them. Well, we've thought of that. Don't worry, you can't. But yeah, the first ones are
That's
repeatable.
funny.
You're not going to be like, oh, what the heck? Now I have to just play to the whims of random generation to ascend like that.
Alright.
Yeah. So
Okay,
It
good.
is pretty hard though. Like it'll take. I definitely don't think you'll do it on your first attempt.
I did. Not
you
to
did?
brag.
You
Not
did?
to brag.
Wow,
I did.
well,
I
it's
did
just
pass on. I was clenched though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, especially in that boss fight.
I do. I will say I do think
right as I was doing the
in
boss
some
fight,
you had
ways
some like
they-
kind of
they
powerful
might-
boons there, to be perfectly honest. So.
I got 60%
might
move speed.
think,
That was not a
um,
strategic choice.
I was watching you from. I'm like, how is he so fast?
I don't know. Maybe the
slide.
the difficulty curve is a little bit off for those of us who know what we're doing, and so they're like, it's hard.
It's good. It was good fun.
Jonathan's
I
bad.
liked it. I like most.
I mean, there's a part of me
all
that's
the
like,
time,
but
but
the
I
things
did
he
quite
keeps
like the
saying are
balance of
hard.
it,
I don't.
knowing that there's
I
other
don't
choices,
know.
like do ultimatum instead or something.
He's
like that.
above.
That's
Yeah,
fun.
I think
so.
so.
You got these like 2 roguelike dungeons that are going into.
I think
the beta
that's
launch,
what
but
it
they're
is.
done
He's
very
not
differently.
bad. It's just
One's got the honor system, which is like a
we just
separate
play
health, but it's based
way
on scale
more
by your health, which
refined.
I
Yes.
noted as quite
And your defenses
interesting.
now, it can be
And your
fully
defenses.
mitigated and
yeah,
everything.
so
Yeah.
fully scaled by your character. You go in a tanky
yeah.
character, you'll be tanky in the dungeon, which is really cool. So
And then with
you've solved
ultimatum,
that.
and just because people will ask, in ultimatum there aren't any traps.
yes,
So that's the
no
thing
traps
that-
in ultimatum,
yeah.
and no honor system in ultimatum. If
Correct.
you just want more of a pure
Yeah, yeah,
combat
yeah, correct. You can do
experience,
ultimatum,
then
so-
that's your choice. And then there's going to be a third one as well, which
They will
is
eventually.
a secret for
Yeah,
now.
So
but-
once Act 4 goes in, then we'll.
Oh,
then we'll
okay.
have,
Act 4.
a third trial. So people sort of broadly know that the crew are in Act 4. So it's the question of how would the crew ascend is the question there.
Oh,
Yes, and if there's any other things that have been called trials associated with the crew at some point in the past, and how likely that is to be related.
I'm just thinking now, we're just thinking of that Val Thaumaturge class before, and I'm already thinking like, oh, it'd be so cool if you ascend an ultimatum. We want the trial master to say different lines to you because you're like choosing
it's
the way
totem.
of the Val.
Yeah, it's some kind of totem
I
thing.
can't stop thinking
You
about
ascend
it.
in the
Uh,
crucible
I
of
did
the
hear a few
arena
of
or
his
something,
lines
and
in some of the
you
gameplay
like
Johnson
go
was showing me.
through.
It was quite good. I love that he's back, the trial master.
Probably.
Yeah, he's cool.
Good. A little salty sometimes that you're taking this power, it seems. So we have the unique rewards from each of them. We got like the like you said, the jewels are global.
Or it's
but
Crucible. Or it's
there are
Crucible. Yeah,
unique
that's one of the
jewels,
two.
And then there are unique socketables from the other one.
Yep.
And is there something planned to be unique from the final third trial that will be added later?
Of course.
Yes, there is already.
Secret.
There
I know
is.
what I'm not
Okay.
going to say, don't worry.
Okay, keep some secrets. Fine then.
Yeah.
Sign themes in
I
Korea.
I value the
It's probably
discovery,
Toto.
right? I'm certainly, if I accidentally say it, it is certainly by mistake.
It's
But
like
yes,
that.
don't say.
And that Varlorbs from the Ultimatum in particular they seem like they're a lot more important, a lot more powerful.
I mean, I certainly think that like some of the stuff is a lot better with how they work. So yeah.
I just don't
So
think
one of
the
things that we wanted to
normal
change
players
was
will
that
want to val
implicits on
items.
items are truly implicit. Like you can't get rid of them; they stay there.
Yeah.
And so that means that when you do a Val Orb, the mod that you get there now is an addition to whatever implicit already had, which is obviously good. And then the next one being that you can get plus one socket above the normal limit, which is also kind of powerful. So
More
especially with
likely
the
to
Soul
val
Core,
than
so
we
that
are. True.
In the Trial of Chaos. You get.
I think
soul
if
cores that you
Vals
can't
work
get
the
from
way
anywhere
that they
else, and
do
those effectively are,
in
mods that are typically a bit beyond what you would normally
Torchlight,
get,
where there's no
like
negative
in
personally.
regular items. Whereas runes, which kind of drop everywhere, those ones are just kind of normal everyday mods that you would expect to
That'd
find.
be like
Resist
maybe
and
better.
things just resists and damage and that kind of stuff. So effectively, the soul cores is is kind of the more end gamey socketables that you might want to be using. And obviously
Negative
being able
is
to
just
get,
that nothing
plus one socket, I
happens.
mean, it's something that everyone will want. But on the other hand, there is that risk of just bricking your item. So that's the deadly gamble you have.
Well,
as your
yeah, but
final
it's like when
crafting
you're
step there.
done with an item, right? You get something
Valor's
on
are
it.
more forgiving though.
They are, yeah.
But
But,
if you're
if you
fishing
think
for
about,
something and you want something better,
we
it's
talked
you
about
don't like
enchantment,
break
so
it all the
some slots
way.
You might value the enchantment over a rune or a socket slot, right? That probably,
Half
especially
roll,
towards
break
end game, I'd
state.
say
Yeah,
that's probably gonna
maybe.
tilt that way because maybe a soul core contests with it, but the whole point is that there's
We'll see.
you know
We'll see how Val's
choice there
go.
involved.
Yeah.
And then there's enchantment. We just talked about the socket. There's
Making
obviously
new
always
gear,
the case of
yeah.
doing nothing, which happens. But for just say regular rare items, it will re-roll like 1 to 3 modifiers.
This-
at random.
yeah,
If you're
this
gonna
is
do a
like-
chaos orb on 1 to 3 modifiers, not all 6. And as much as that can often be a downside, because if you're using it on a very good item, obviously it's going to take away the good ones.
Interesting.
But if you're using it on a mid item, you can actually turn it very good. Now, I've had this happen. Like when I've been playing, I've got this is life, defense, double res,
Yeah,
and
that's guess we'll see.
something else that I don't want. And I'm like, I'll just start valing everything because why not? I've got my Val orbs and I val it and it re-rolls that bottom mod into a tri-res, and now I got a tri-res double defense life helmet, and I was like, yo, awesome. So even that, which can often be perceived as a bad outcome, now isn't going to completely brick your item. And so, for example, if you have a weapon, you got your 3 damage mods, and you got some bad suffixes, it could even be an option, or hopefully it doesn't just remove all 3 damage mods, whereas before it's like if it bricked it often
interesting.
was almost always a brick, right? Like that item is now dead. So
And then you told me about a new unique
Yeah,
result, which I don't know if you want to spoil or not.
the unique one.
100%.
Yeah, yeah.
It's cool. It's so cool.
I'm surprised you even got that one past Rishi, honestly.
I mean, he got it made.
Okay, great.
We discussed it. I agree. I agree. I messaged it to him thinking he'll be like, "No way, this is unacceptable." But
Just
no,
tell
Okay.
He was all for it. Okay,
it
great.
didn't turn into a dexterity chat.
Yeah.
And so, what it effectively does is it just takes the mod values and it it goes up to I can't remember exactly the values, but let's just say it
Said it was between
changes all the values to between 0.8 and 1.2 of what they were multiplied. But it doesn't care about the minimum and maximums. So, for example, if you had 1,000 life
T0
counts high,
pluses.
you can use this to get. Again, this is me assuming it's 20% variance, but because I can't remember what we balanced it to. But you'll be able to get a 1,200 life Kelm's Heart, for example. Now that's obviously giving up the enchantment and a socket. Just thinking about sockets on Kelm's Heart. I can't remember what we did, but whatever. I think you can actually do that, which is interesting. But ultimately, it's like
I do like the rune
now
system,
choosing,
yeah.
do I
It'll
want
be
the
interesting what they are. If
Do
they're
I
just
want
like
an
extra little
extra,
lines to put in to fix up
100
stuff, then yeah, that's
something,
good. But I hope
200
there's
life,
like
whatever that ends up being
a bit more
or
splash,
do I
you know?
want the socket. So it's quite an interesting choice and adds an extra axis of corruption to unique items that is, I think,
Corrupted divining of uniques.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Honestly, yeah,
it's
this is like too
dividing
much
them,
information.
but with, higher
Like, at this
maximums and
point.
lower minimums.
Surely there's going to be some broken things like max res or something like that.
I
has an
mean,
impact on-
we'll guess we'll find out.
Cross that
I'm
bridge
hearing
when it
both
comes to
side
it.
mods, right? Yeah.
It's fine.
So that was all just talking about the trials, how you actually get your ascendancies. But what about the actual ascendancies themselves? How are they cooking?
Well, they're fun. They're cool.
Yeah.
We certainly try to get what we've tried to do is for the classes we've tried to have one that's a bit more out there.
Yeah.
You know, something that isn't just like if you think even about in PoE 1, you've got the duelist, and you can go like champion or slayer or holy words I don't remember, but you know the drill.
It's on first break.
Gladiator. And
There's probably going to be
like,
something.
Okay, they're all just
really
about,
quickly
like,
that like you scale something too high.
Sure, they all sound cool. Like, don't get me wrong, and they can be cool, and they do have differences, but there's nothing that's like kind of crazy. So all of a sudden now, when you're like sorceress, you're using all your elemental skills, and now you can just like go into this thing that can stop time. It's a little bit more crazy, and you got the mercenary, and you can turn into a gemling legionnaire and like, effectively fuse gems into your flesh to like mutate yourself.
Likes the
it's
word
like
flesh.
not just talking about crossbows and projectiles over and over and over and over again. It's like doing kind of whack stuff. So I really like that. That's awesome, and we're going to make sure every single class has one thing that is like definitely out there, and then one thing that's more predictable, more to the expectation of the trope. For example, the Deadeye to the Ranger.
But I guess that's Demon Waifu.
But yeah, lots and lots of cool interactions, just cool playing with different mechanics, and we've tried to make them like. For example,
Pause there
none
to
of
say
them
what he
call
was
out
like.
a
What
weapon.
can I say here?
Right, none of them. So we're trying to make sure that they're broad enough to be that. You might be a ranger going a Deadeye, but playing a caster, right?
Yeah.
Playing spells, like keeping
Right.
all of that open, that flexibility.
I mean, it
that
has to
kind
be,
of
'cause it's
crazy,
Poe.
for the Johnny players, as we call it out there, who want to just completely experiment and figure out, the most broken, weird stuff. And you get things with that when you're still like, okay, I'm a ranger.
Is the Poe
And
DNA?
I'm using a Quill Rain in one weapon set, spec'd into a bunch of prod speed, attack speed, and in my second weapon set, I'm using
I'm
a
a
spellcaster
Johnny.
staff with a
I
bunch
didn't
of
know I was a
projectile
Johnny,
stuff,
but
and
I'm a
invested
Johnny.
into more spell damage side, and you got a whack tree, and all of a sudden now you're this like Deadeye archer spellcaster mage hybrid doing all kinds of wacky stuff, or like even or let's say the same build and experimenting with a bunch of triggers. And so you're using your bow as a Quill Rain as a high attack speed delivery mechanism for laying down a bunch of either CCs or slows, or building up crowd controls, and then you're using the caster stuff, and like you get some pretty out there things going on. And the important thing is it's not like just like benefiting only arrows or only bow attacks or anything like that. It's broad, and now opens up the world to what you can do. And same like the Gemling Legionnaire on the Mercenary is entirely just about gem slots, skills, support, etc. You don't have to be anything. You can be literally whatever build you want. And yeah, so that's embracing that, and making sure that people still, even though we have all these classes, we're embracing that path of Exile. You can do anything fantasy that we want people to be able to do. And
Yeah.
if you don't want to, go with the trope, perfectly fine.
Yeah,
and
so
you'll still be powerful.
It sounds like you're really trying to avoid that thing that we've had a couple times in PoE 1 where like a certain niche is relegated to one ascendancy. Like that's the only
Let's
way to go
hope
for it.
that
Sounds like that's not
Elementalist
gonna be the
does
case,
not
yeah.
become a
Well, if we're
VM
doing our job
Ignite
right,
thing
that should
again.
be-
And with so many of the ascendancies as well.
'Cause they
Golden
already
choices.
gave Sork like
Originally the plan
anything
was to,
can
like,
shock.
Have all of the
I hope it's
PoE 1
not anything
ascendancies
can ignite.
available, and it was some sort of weird split campaign stuff and all that. I don't really know at this point. It's a bit confusing. You mentioned Deadeye though, so it sounds like some of them are coming forwards. But is it all just being
I think it's more
redone at this point?
At this point, yeah. At this point, they'll just be different, right? Like
Yeah.
Originally, way back when, we were planning on just
That'll be
keeping
cool,
the
yeah,
ascendancies
next,
as
yeah.
they were and putting
Yeah.
them over. But at this point,
Once we
that
start
wouldn't
getting more
even
info.
be good enough, because like it doesn't fit the kind of like
go
Path of
over
Exile
them.
2 way of designing this.
'Cause, yeah,
thing.
this is-
So,
this is
yeah, I
just,
mean,
like,
look, we might have
information
a class with
overload.
the Deadeye, and it might have the same themes, but it'll be like different actual mechanics and different things. going
Yeah.
on.
I mean,
I hope it is, guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
even the Deadeye, you got Tailwind. Works differently. You've still got an additional projectile.
Molten mana stuff, maybe.
You know,
Shock.
like,
Well, I
there
saw
are
shock.
things that certainly carry over.
Or maybe
but
romantic.
It's really easy, and it's honestly been fun just
The
looking at them
condition.
going like,
It
now
might have
we
been there,
all
yeah.
these system changes, all these
Yeah,
skills,
there-
and
there's
everything
so
works
much
like
that
this,
they've
just
given
what
us
would the perfect
information-wise
class
now.
be? Not like how can we
Fire
retrofit
lady.
and band-aid a PoE 1 class to work. It's just way better to look at it and go, here's all the things we want. Yeah. So
She has 30%
when
of her
you have-
shield.
have
Oh,
now
yeah,
the
that
life and
was,
mana
yeah.
flask and stuff. It could obviously things don't work quite the same, but then now you have the charm system, and all of a sudden if
I
you
actually
did
do
have
wonder
that,
if
you could
Pathfinder would be cool with that.
Exactly.
About like stacking charms.
So it's just here are 12, eventually 36 classes. It's not
36
really like
classes.
here's the PoE 1 counterpart and they're identical kind of thing anymore,
Oh,
for sure.
man.
too many things changed for that to even be possible anyway.
Yeah. All right. That sounds very epic. We can skip over the flasks and trinkets as we did cover that very well. So moving into skills, I realized I had many pages of questions here, and then I was like, wait, we haven't even talked about skills here.
I'm looking to see.
So much.
They haven't made
for us to
compodium
discover. Of course,
information
there's
yet for everything.
How has the list of skills been shaping up overall?
I mean, it's certainly getting there. I mean, look, there are even certain skills that won't even make
still,
it.
I don't
Even
think
just
there's
within the
one
classes we have,
site that
there's
has
still
them all
gonna be
yet.
some more skills coming later on as well for these classes, because there are more skills that we got just about there, and just didn't quite make it. And getting a class finished in terms of the skills you need, it sort of seems very easy when you come with, okay, we need 22, 23, 24 number of skills, something like that. And it seems like that's not so many kind of designer, but when you actually come up with all of the things, the way they interact together,
I'm debating if we should just
that kind of don't really work, and you end up
get
not
some
being fun.
food.
And then of course the support gem stuff.
you?
You need to make sure
What?
that every skill has enough viable supports so that you can actually even recommend people to
Hype is real?
do.
Yes.
Then you need things
I
like
am
the
hyped.
the passive tree support.
They've just
for all
given
of
us
them.
too much info.
You need to have all of the
My head's glazing over.
the stuff with buff the buff gems for each character class as well. You need to be thinking about uniques for the type of for the that can work with these things. It's just there's so many different elements to actually make skills work, and once again, it's another area I think that was underestimated to some degree before. And
I mean,
it
true,
does
Zeno,
take
true.
To actually get that finished, it takes a lot.
That is true.
So that's been a total struggle, and we didn't think we would have to have only 6 character classes initially at the start of early access.
this
We were
system
thinking we
seems
would have
insane.
8 to begin with. But
Fusion
when it
of
actually
maps
came
and
down
delve,
to
it'll be
actually
interesting to see how it works.
actually finish something,
Excited to
it just ended
explore
up
it.
being too much. Now obviously we've got a bunch. I mean, we've got a bunch of work on more of the classes that we've done. There's things there, but it's that finishing work of making sure that all the systems in the game come together to support
Total War map.
how that works.
Played a Total War game in a long
Doing
time.
all of that as we're still discovering how we want those systems to work. The changes to support gems and all that. As we're also making support gems, as we're making character classes, just
But how much pushback there's going to be
things
that you
to slow
can't run
down
the
quite a
same
bit,
layout
and
or
we
the
have
same
to
style of map
recalibrate
over and over
also-
again, because people
it
nowadays
was an
expect into
extreme amount of
Haunted
work
Mansion
that we
and do that for
certainly,
div cards.
predicted poorly.
It's always going to be a
but
different layout, different
that was
kind of
also
map.
because we are
Done,
making all these cool
yeah.
systems to all these changes to all these systems, which are having immense benefits as well. So, yeah, I would say it's pretty safe to expect that
And then
as much as you can't play them on
you
day
only get
zero,
a tower every now and then,
some
so
of
you can
those
only
other
run your
classes that we have shown
preferred
in the
content every
past,
now and then. I'm
and
sure
some of the
people won't like
skills
that
and
either.
stuff, there's a lot there, just not to make it seem
Strat
like it's
makers,
shallow or anything,
yeah.
but we will be adding those classes in for sure.
Yeah, the thing that keeps surprising me is
I mean, there's still gonna be
when you
strats.
click that all gems tab when you're doing an uncut,
But it's just going to be it's not going to be run
you
this div
initially
card
kind of
on this
box
thing
yourself
over and
away
over
where you
again,
think,
or
okay,
this
so I'm
this
playing the
system.
mercenary, so I'm just looking at the crossbow skills. And then I was like, well, what if I go look at the elemental skills? And then I find flame wall, and I'm like, oh, I can shoot my projectiles through that. Okay, cool. I like that, but that's surface level, because you also have the weapon swap thing, and that you can actually viably do with the automated weapon swapping. It's
no,
not
Data.
toxic where you have to push the button a bunch of times, and you've got the trees that customize whenever you do it automatically on the fly. So
That
that's
seems
all of a sudden,
it's cool.
why
I do
can't
wonder how
use
much
a
it's going to be a
sword on
problem
the other
that
hand?
the
Yeah,
Atlas
that's like a very
specific
cool mercenary vibe, sword and
buffs
crossbow.
are
So,
gated
yeah, I mean, that stuff is,
behind
is crazy.
killing
I mean, in
the
the
difficult bosses.
Actually,
difficult.
there was one in the community guys recorded where they
And,
were
like,
using
you know,
the bell, the bell skill.
Yeah.
I wonder how
of course,
difficult it's going to
with
be.
the rapid shot mercenary skill. And when I saw it, I was like, oh man, that's like a whole other thing. That I didn't even know
Difficult
about
bosses,
that
well,
particular combo.
Well, that's what I'm
until I
saying.
saw
I don't know how
the, some of
difficult
the
they
footage
actually
recorded.
are.
I started thinking about that too with multiplayer. I was
I
like,
hope-
so
I
I was
hopefully
throwing
so,
my gas
guys, yeah.
grenades,
Oh, yeah.
which you can blow up with your explosive grenades. But then I was throwing it at a boss that was
pretty
doing
hard.
burning ground, and they were blowing
We'll
up
see.
instantly. I'm like, oh wait, so it reacts to the
The
environment.
difficulty
Well,
of the
it's obviously
game
gonna
is something
react
I'm
to my friends
still
doing
Oh yes.
hesitant to
Oh,
say
yes.
anything
Oh,
about
yes.
until I
And,
play it.
flame wall friend.
And this is the reason. Like this conversation here
Yeah,
is the
like-
reason why there's going to be crazy builds that we don't anticipate, because
co-op.
the some of the stuff that can happen between classes.
The
I just
difficulty
have
for
no
those
doubt
of us
we
who
will
play
not discover.
RPGs, I just
Yeah,
don't
like,
think
how much
it's
time
gonna
have you
be
really been
that
able to
high.
test?
I mean, like we do test.
I mean,
party
they're
play all the
saying
time,
that
and
if, you know, the
bugs,
pinnacle, the
bugs
uber
are fine.
pinnacle
those.
fight
You're
is
a
difficult,
support
and I can get
character
that.
Now I'm like freezing, armor breaking, putting down
Yeah, yeah.
clouds, slow. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, holy, there's just a lot
Lots
going
of
on all
options
of
for
a
that.
sudden. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just
We'll see.
standing there like I got buffs coming out of me. You know, it's like you know,
See
you're
what
like,
happens.
I'm actually doing all this active support and like different conditions to.
It's like
synergize with
Ubers
the
are hard
group
in
and
part
how-
one.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you're doing that skill. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do this and enhance
that's
my
exactly
armor
what-
breaking and go
my
ballistic
point.
armor breaking, and you just spam your thing that consumes it. You know. So
I
you
mean,
get a lot
true,
of that
yeah.
stuff
Here
going
the
on for
fights
sure,
evolve,
where,
getting as they get harder.
but you know, it's kind of honestly the terrifying part as well, where it's like, you know, what do we have? We had the whole like vulnerability curse with gas cloud ticks or something, and it was like literally applying armor break like every frame.
Being high ranked in
So
League
you
of
have the
Legends
bosses
is
going
hard.
ting, ting, ting,
And then
ting,
you
ting,
have
ting.
Yeah, but
Explosion
that's
on there as well.
PvP.
And then you have some
This is
other thing,
PvE.
you have some other guy consuming it.
Two
And
different
again,
things.
oh my god, cool rain! Just don't even how many bloody synergistic things with cool rain.
You can do a lot with that,
With
eh?
all the lightning arrows on the ground, and because they can, you know, lightning things hit them and explode, and all of a sudden now everyone's running around with core rain, spamming lightning rods everywhere, and
Yeah.
and Frostwall. Somehow Frostwall had about 15 abuse cases, and
I mean, that's historically accurate.
yeah, true.
Kinetic blast, frost walls, and all that. It returns. Sounds like it's coming back.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
It's cool. Even finding all the stuff so far has been really fun. But yeah, I generally play multiplayer. Most of the alpha I've done is being in multiplayer. Play with other people. It's good to get a lot of that testing in there as well, because
support
not
for that, then.
a lot of others do it.
That's really good.
And then try and see what we can break. Just for
That
good
difficulty
fun.
is fine. It can
honestly,
be,
the thing
yeah.
is,
I just
like,
don't know if
hardest
it's
to then,
Atlas
like-
Atlas passes.
Because you get this thing, which is quite
Right.
interesting, where you
Well,
have
like
a
Atlas
a
passive
staff
being
that's
locked
both
behind
the player and the
difficulty.
developer. And I'm of the like,
Can feel weird.
You better not keep that you know, something that's I wouldn't say exploit, but you know, something that's OP. A
Right,
secret,
guys,
like, you
yeah.
better bloody tell me, because
the exact reaction you had earlier.
You were saying people weren't telling you about
exactly.
their
Like
good
you get a
builds.
situation where someone doesn't want to tell you about their build, that's because they're like, oh, Mark will nerf it then. You know,
Like,
that's
you're
it.
supposed to be making the game, not
Exactly.
hiding your
I,
good
I
builds.
legitimately had a Monday meeting, and you know, whatever.
No, I got my
was
build
like-
nerfed.
I was like,
I told
swear
him
if I
about
see
my
any of you
build.
at the top of the ladder on day one, we're gonna have a talk.
Exactly.
I know you've hidden something from me.
Exactly.
No, I did tell you about my flashbangs and how good.
But
they
maybe
are.
it's fine. I just wanted them to check. Just
Well, that's the
don't
thing.
know.
No, that is the thing that is hard. No one knows if their thing is actually look, there's a line that gets crossed, yes.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't know. Is it just I've found something cool and it's powerful, or have I found something cool and it's broken? You know, and those things. I mean, we have to make those decisions, of course. And a lot of the time, what is reported is just fine.
I
And
wonder
it's
if-
like, yeah,
I
you've
wonder
got a
which
good
category
weapon
what I
and
did
you've got
was
the right,
in.
you've got this combo. You're strong.
If it's supported by items, then it's like fine to be very powerful. But if you're just like, I just pick these skills and no matter what weapons I'm wearing, I'm just like completely ridiculous, then that's a different situation, because now it's just a thing that anyone can do at a moment's notice.
Oh, that's what I
rather than
do.
actually requiring, like, you know, oh, I have to find the big, this combo of items and things like that. So that's a much different story.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So I
know.
followed
We've had
that
a lot of
category.
good testing, a lot of good feedback, a lot of good people reporting that stuff, especially in the last like month. It's like coming in a lot because as the systems and everything's kind of stabilizing, you start to get a lot more of that, and people are understanding what the difficulties meant to be and what the power of characters is meant to be. As all of that came and started to stabilize, we got.
Yeah,
a
I
lot
think
more of
that's
this
the thing
coming
that was
in, and we are
missing
kind of
when
getting
we
more
were playing.
understanding,
Is
but again, you'll never
we
find
weren't
them all,
really told
but,
that.
you know,
I think
it's
that
fun-
would have been
fun
good if
journey.
we had some like
Support trends have changed a
understanding
lot.
of
How
what
have
the
you found the
difficulty was
changes to
meant
them
to be,
being
because we
now
could have given feedback
having
based
no
on that.
levels and,
I think that's why Jonathan was so
the
surprised
restriction
when I
of
said I
having only
didn't
one
die.
support gem on your character of a type,
Because
but having a lot more of
that
them.
was
I
the
really like
feedback
how
of like,
those
wait a
work.
second,
I
what?
think that it adds so much more build diversity and interest.
It's
you
like-
have to be making the decision of like
You
know,
were supposed
where
to
is this
be.
gonna go?
You were
And the
supposed to
thing
be
that's been
dying.
important though with that system is it requires a lot more support gems to exist, because
Yeah,
you need
there's a
because you
lot.
only have one on your character. You need tons of them, and like you need a lot of different ways to increase damage and a lot of ways to support different mechanics. It's like if you're going to have something like freeze, like you know, if you're going to have a freezing skill, you need to be able to support that and augment that in like many different ways. And there needs to be more options than what you can even like. There needs to be, in order to have choice, you can't just have here's your 5 freeze things and that's all you do, right? There has to be more than that in order to be able to have it so you actually have some choices as well. So that kind of stuff has meant that you just need a lot of things going on there. But I think that the choices that you end up with as a player of like, you know, where do I put my model projectiles? Where do I put my PS? Where do I put, like, I think that leads to a lot more interesting decisions with
Yeah.
how you
I'm
build.
curious to see how
And,
that system plays out.
You know, like, yeah, I think that
way it
to
sounds
me is
romantic.
where a lot of the why it just works so much better. And we were certainly hesitant about the whole, you can only have one support per.
Yeah, I don't want to see any build guides made before fucking the game comes out.
Like your first reaction is you just hear that, and you're
Everyone
like, oh,
goes in blind and has a good time.
It is arbitrary in some sense, right? There's no like. We can't justify it thematically, really. It's just it just is what it is, and so that, I really don't like that kind of thing usually because if I'm
There already are. I know there are.
The mechanic as much as possible, but in this case, it just made the gameplay so much better that like it just had to happen. So it was
arguably, if you need to if you end up in
On that
a
arc
situation where you
source,
I have to put the support on every slot.
exactly that is less choice, and that's the reason why the gameplay is
less
bad.
choice, less interest, and also you may as well just bake that now into the skills and or
100%. And so this is the thing. It is actually much worse to have that because it results in this outcome. But like that's a kind of more subtle argument that like you have to kind of make to people if you want to kind of convince them that this is actually the right way. Because when you tell people, oh, there's this restriction, it doesn't sound like what they're getting out of that is more choice. It sounds like they're getting less. But the reality is it is actually more choice because you no longer have like mandatory like here's the 5 mandatory things you have to put on the skill. It's like there's actually much more going on.
Holy fucking information drop.
Realize my experience on the Mercenary that your vision of having like all of these skills available to you and them actually being worth using
for sure.
Because if you had all
I'm
the
still
same support gems, I feel like you just pick the one that does the most damage and you make it do the most damage, and that's the only skill you use.
Yeah, and I mean the great thing is now it's completely reasonable to have a skill in your character that you just use occasionally, right? Like every 5 minutes you might have a situation where you need to use that, and
no one's going to use one of those skills.
Completely reasonable.
Yeah, so I'm playing a Grenader, and I would be like, okay, I should only use this grenade normally, is what I would be like in Path of Exile, because this is the best grenade, or maybe this one that does like interacts with it in some way, the obvious combo. But now I'm actually like, well, actually, there's a reason I could use those lightning ones to apply shock, because I have all these shock support gems that I'm not using anywhere else, because I'm using the damage and the LMP on my big damage dealers. I can put the shock things on there, and I can actually have a shock
Shave
setup.
my beard? What? No.
I can incorporate poison into my build to strip their armor.
I'm answer. It looks cool.
And maybe you only use that.
I'm gonna have to play everything.
That's got heavy armor. You know.
I just know I'm starting with
the. It's like that kind of stuff. I really want to be viable.
Succubus thing.
That situational stuff, I think, just makes the game way more interesting.
It's really feeding into the flavor of the Mercenary, is like this like prepared kind of fight.
My biggest fear with having that many like you only use this once 5 minutes is like how the fuck do you have enough keybinds for that shit?
Yeah, nice. I love it. I've a couple questions here. People definitely have been asking about like Vile skills and transfigured gems and stuff and like that. I feel like this sort of thing doesn't make sense at launch exactly.
Yeah, because ultimately, if we were going to add something like that, it would make
the
sense
monk?
to add, just as another skill. So at this point, there's no real reason to do that. Like that kind of stuff comes in when we want to have a specific reward system somewhere.
Yeah, it's a bossing button. Yeah.
So we don't really need to do it right now. But look, we might decide to bring that theme back in in a reward system later.
Yeah, I think
like
for Vile skills especially, it's
my
a
voice
cool
does it. Yeah, I know, right?
But I think the transfer
player. Yeah, but the thing about WoW combat is, for the most part, when you're pressing keys, you're not while staying around as well.
On a bunch of different
right.
things around the same
if you
skill,
do, you can use your mouse to move around, and then most of your hand is doing keys. I've played WoW,
all the iterations of it are less of a necessary thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll be doing more stuff like that in the future. Like we absolutely will be.
Do you know how many skills
You're not
roughly you
as
have?
much.
Yeah,
exactly. It's all rotations.
I actually don't know the
100% walking around.
What I will say is that we initially, I think, when we
casters can walk nowadays while they cast.
I'm pretty sure we're actually nearing that. I feel
definitely it's going to be way higher than that.
Yeah, because I think we're nearing that now when we've only added half the classes.
14. You can walk while casting in 14 as well.
Like I know 100 of them or whatever are like some.
Pretty sure you're standing still when you're casting.
Even if
or can you walk while casting? I don't remember.
No,
it's been too long.
Yeah, you got what like
because there's 20 to 25 for each of those for each class. So just with 6 of those, I'm terrible at math.
Any artsy ass.
But I feel like that's 120. Well, let's say it's just a bit over 110 or something.
Around. I guess when I played back in Wrath, you didn't really walk around too much.
Yeah, I think probably 120. Around there, like that.
You can walk the last bit of your cast time.
Okay. Like each character class has 9 of those, so that then sort of adds up. And so you've already reached probably 200 just by the time you've got to there.
No, they don't have cast times anyway. True, yeah.
It doesn't even count things that really are skills, but like are not. You don't
like
get
Boomer WoW. No, that's
so,
classic.
Like, we're talking about all the ascendancy little skills.
I'm like,
and there's like uniques that have little
millennial
WoW.
all staffs, wands, and scepters have a skill
exactly, right? We're not even counting that, right? Like, because the staffs, wands, and scepters have skills built in.
Yeah.
And then those are like, that's another. How many of those? those? There's like 20 of those probably.
What an MMO mouse.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Like if you add them all up.
I don't know who remembers all these things.
Yeah, I know, but no one has counted recently.
What on name freezes? What on name?
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Countless skills.
Ascendancy classes with skills.
Yeah,
true.
tons.
Yeah.
Though,
Yeah.
probably gonna
Some
end
skills,
stream here in a
those
second.
skills,
Go
by
get
the
some
way,
dinner and then
ascendancy
come
class
back
skills are
for
fully
Stalker.
supportable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is so much
that's wild,
information
'cause I
overload.
really did the thing with default attack where you can support that now.
Yep,
if
you can
want.
support default attack, and you can support any
Ascendancy
skill that comes
ones
from
was-
something.
That one caught me by surprise. I was like, oh wow,
Yep.
you can actually link those up.
Yep, it's so that you're going to end up with quite a lot going on. there.
Yeah,
I
I
was
mean,
even surprised when I was like, oh,
I don't
can
really
add,
need that many buttons in
additional
PoE.
accuracy to Herald of Ice, and it like provides
Like,
a buff to my
realistically.
character. I
Yep.
can like add buffs through support.
Mostly
skills.
just post combat, it's gonna be faster
those-
than most of those combats are.
Things like heralds are so hard to find like a good set of supports to recommend. So, you're
So
like, damn it, we have to come up with like tons of these now.
I
They're
like
like really
that. I like that
difficult.
idea though. You can like create a custom aura.
Yeah,
kind of.
absolutely.
cool.
So yeah, it's
don't know if,
that
yeah.
actually mean it's actually nice because part of the it means that you get the feeling of having more aura effects on your character without having to have the spam of actual auras that many characters had in PoE1. Like you get to kind of have all that stuff as well. So that's been really nice.
Thanks for the invisible aura MTX. Well, it does remind me though. So with all the this is very off topic, but with
Mechanic,
all
I'm
the
not scared of
very
it.
good teasers you've been
But
doing,
there's- it's
like,
just like, it's
new
annoying, it's
3D art
spammy.
techniques and stuff like that. Have you
doesn't,
had any thoughts about reworking.
It doesn't let you play around
MTX in some
what's
way,
going
making it
on
more
screen as much as is
permanent.
you
Honestly,
worrying
it's
about
not
like
in
what
our
your
thing
buttons are
about it.
doing.
We're thinking about like it'll work the same way.
You know,
it
it's the
works
same
now.
as like fluffing your
But
APM in
obviously, it's gonna
StarCraft. It's
transfer
not
to PoE2,
mechanically
there's a
hard
lot
to
more
fluff your
cool base
APM. You're
art.
not
Yeah,
doing
but,
It's
anything.
gonna make
makes
people
and stuff
actually
that you
wanna
wanna
use it now,
So
I
yeah,
feel,
you'll
so.
probably be using that a lot more.
So yeah, it'd be cool to see something for that in the future potentially. So onto the end game, which was I feel like a big bulk of the announcement
For sure.
here.
Boss mechanics that can one shot you.
so
Complex boss
Just as,
mechanics.
like,
Yeah, it's just gonna be
overview.
slams
so we
and stuff.
have the end game versions just for beta,
Yeah,
by the way.
exactly. Meaningful is
'Cause there'll be
better.
a lot more later.
Yeah.
We have the end game pinnacle versions of the two
Really
trials.
meaningful button presses.
So
Yeah.
as like fully farmable content. They don't have trees though.
Like
those ones.
fucking, you know.
They do have a progression system of some
StarCraft's-
kind. So you've got the relics.
relics.
in,
I have 900
in the second,
APM.
sequel.
Sure,
And then,
you can
with the
have
trial
900
packs, you
APM, but
have, the
895 of those buttons
the
aren't doing
inscribed,
anything.
ultimatums have getting
You're just
mods,
fluffing the number to make it feel like you're
from the
doing
end, so when you
something more
kill
important.
The final, the final boss of that. Which is alleged to be the trial master. Then you
So hard from brute force, right?
Then he'll drop items that can then have mods on them to make the trial itself harder.
Also
And
the
there's
buttons.
also some pretty interesting ones on there. That we
I
actually
mean,
were
yeah,
gonna put in
sure,
the video,
some of
but
them
starting to get
are,
long.
but you
Which
like you
was that,
literally
you've
like
got
if
the
you
thing with
watch
the,
people
with
play
the-
StarCraft
where you've
sometimes,
got
they'll
the,
literally
the
just do
bits
this.
that you can make of put
I'm
up,
like,
13
yes, my
exalts,
APM is
and
so
then you
high.
might get double that back if you're able to complete the thing. So those are some of the mods that can spawn.
It's
on
like,
there,
what the fuck?
And, as well as mods that make the actual trial harder as well. So there's things like that as well. So yeah, those two have those kind of like different outside the atlas because they're not really part of the atlas. Like you'll get keys for them while you're playing in game, but technically speaking, they're kind of like.
Like I get it if you have
they
like
got their
hotkeys and
scales
stuff and you're
in-game,
moving
but
around
they're
your
not,
map
sort
and
of
like
part of
using
the
the
whole
things to
atlas,
position and then
fucking
giving
playing with
combos.
it.
But some people like
Yeah,
literally
their own
fluff it and
distinct-
they're like,
yeah,
I am a
exactly,
great
like-
player.
So there'll be 3 roguelike dungeon things that will be
Sure.
Like,
Or,
distinct
I mean,
endgames.
I wouldn't say 3 roguelike dungeons. I will say there will be 3 trials that
Yeah.
have various
Get
mechanics
themselves
that are,
warmed up.
be different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But,
most people are
then, of
not in
course,
the
you've got
top
the,
10 players of StarCraft that need to
4 kind
warm
of
up
what
their
I guess
hands in a
would say sort of,
StarCraft match.
I don't know. We actually need a name for what are we,
Yeah,
what are we
really-
calling what are we calling the things that are icons on the
because they
the
were
atlas?
called leagues, but they're not really
Yeah, it
leagues.
doesn't really make
'cause
sense to call it a league exactly. That is what we call them internally. We just
It's
call them as
it's
leagues.
been good,
They're
man. It's been
4
good.
leagues that you have that appear.
Very
there.
exciting.
Really
There's
work
been way
hard.
too much information. It's just like
I don't have a good idea right now.
Yeah, we need to come up with a name for
probably
that.
have
Information
actually named it, I just
overload
don't
at this
remember what it
point.
was.
And then you've got the kind of boss hunting kind of element as well. And then the kind of, I guess what you would say is the pinnacle of the kind of boss hunting thing is then,
Yeah.
you've got the cities with the lieutenants and then the Uber Act bosses. And then above that, you have the pinnacle boss who we don't want to spoil. Although I did show you a little bit about it just in private.
so it's the
before.
Uber Act
But,
bosses and
yeah,
then
that's,
Pinnacle.
that one's gonna
Okay.
be- that one's going to be hard.
It's not Uber
Like,
boss.
I
It's
know you're
the Pinnacle boss is actually referred to above the Uber Act bosses.
Yeah, it's fun. That's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Because now you don't need to worry about if people can't progress through. It's not a progression blocker. You can just kill them.
It's a progression blocker to the higher difficulties though, because once you kill that, of course, then you get the increase of the difficulties.
Pineapple
and
Uber
then it's like,
allies.
try it again,
Hell yeah.
But way harder. And then and then there's four levels of difficulty for
And
each
once
of
you do
those.
the all
for
four,
each
you get the
end game
Sonic
system
boss.
So yeah, like apart from the
I think he said
trials, then
Yeah,
your trials,
yeah. It's like
everything has,
two
its own
lieutenants
distinct
to
passive
kill the
tree,
dude to get a
and
key, and there's 3 keys or something like that. Oh, it's glitching
progression
again.
through them is also by doing them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to prevent the situation where you feel like you allocate points for a certain piece of content, and then you feel like you can't do the other content because you're kind of wasting the points that you've got.
Yeah, the lock-in.
And we kind of band-aided that in PoE 1 by adding multiple Atlas trees as a way. But I
Spent
think
2
the
hours
solution
farming
is
in
much
one
better,
build where
where
just
effectively you
AFK stand
can reverse all
everything.
of them,
I mean,
and you can
isn't
either
that what
do,
Ben
just
does?
all on one for a while, or you can just do each of them as
I'm
you
not
come
gonna
to
say
them,
Uberdan
just
and
add them
Ben
kind
are
of
bad
piecemeal.
players, but like
but either
they
way,
know how to
however you
farm, they
wanna
know
do
how to
it,
build a build that's
you know,
really,
you
really
can make
powerful, and
progress
then
on your character,
they can fucking go in and
for all of those,
take the hits that they
because,
need
the
to,
progress
and then
all that stuff is of course for the whole league, not just for a single character.
Yeah, and previously we used the Atlas
do
tree,
that.
I would say very much so to make sure that
No,
we
I'm not
were
saying
doing
200
the
hours.
type of
I'm
content that we
saying
wanted
to
do.
build a build
so
that's
now
capable
it's not so
of
much
it.
about finding the content because that's what the tablets are for.
Yeah.
Now it's more about improving your ability to
Exact opposite.
sustain effectively. Like you're going
Right.
to want to have those points to sort of get sustainability for the next level up, and we want to make
It's
sure
the
that there is
idea of the
sustain if you're
build
doing,
he's
you know,
building.
engaging with those mechanics well.
Yeah.
But effectively, you do have to actually to
Right,
get sustain
yeah.
at higher difficulties.
That's what-
you will
isn't
need
that
to be
what I'm
able to,
s-
you know,
that's
be making
literally
smart
what I'm
choices
saying.
in terms of allocating and using the tablets correctly and that kind of
The
stuff.
measure?
I think
Time
it's
is
part
the
of that sort of
measure.
story of all of that.
Okay. I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of the main thing with that.
Yeah, this idea of like sustaining the content you want to do by doing it is a little different to how it's been in PoE 1 a lot of the time, where it's like
Sure.
you had to fuel it by going back to maps to,
Right.
you know, get your delve juice.
I mean,
or
you're
whatever.
still doing maps ultimately, you
Yeah,
know, in terms
like,
of
to
like,
find
but yeah,
more.
but effectively, like, so long as you're
I'm
doing the
spent
content
farming,
that you,
I guess. Well, yeah, but that's the measure of skill
that you wanna
on
do, you
your ability
should-
to
and
farm
as well, and
or
making it
your
hard.
knowledge of farming.
You know, so your build
You're
has to
still
be good enough
building
to
the
be
same
able to be able
character.
to sustain it. Then you will be able to sustain that stuff, and you know, like if you want every single map to have a breach in it, that's absolutely doable. By you know using the tablets correctly.
Is Jover?
Yeah, so the Atlas passive trees and the
guess.
trees for each of the distinct
Everyone gets
types
to
of
enjoy the
content
game how they
is
want it,
about
man.
Scaling the reward and difficulty primarily.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. It's absolutely.
See ruthless in
And
there.
what does I saw? Like,
Yeah, you're not playing
on the
SSF hardcore ruthless. Okay, I guess this is just glitching the fuck out.
breach nodes. It said like increased difficulty.
Come on.
What does that mean?
It's somewhat arbitrary and asymmetric, but
Mm-hmm.
it will feel like, for example, some of the difficulties
The
will actually
audio's just
change the boss's
bricked.
skills and how they work.
Oh, wow.
Generally, they'll increase like the level
Yeah,
of the
they're-
area.
they're
right? So you
effing.
get the general monster and life scaling, but
I
arguably
know,
for a
right?
player that's arbitrary as well because they don't know how that scales.
Really skilled if you're not doing a solo
And in
so
other
fun
contexts,
hardcore
yeah,
ruthless.
It might be more of certain monster types, less of
you
others, and stuff
really
like that. It is
playing the
generally
game correctly?
Yeah, so the small nodes will increase difficulty of the meta content, whereas the node
Wrap
will
it up,
increase
music.
the reward of the in-map content. But when I say difficulty, that is
Is that
reward
news?
as well.
You have a good
So
one. Yeah, I'm just
an
listening to see if
example
there's
of how
anything
this works
new
is like,
that hasn't been covered. It's just been
let's say the
so
boss
much.
has 6 uniques it could drop, or 5 or 6 uniques. It can drop 3 at difficulty
I think
0.
they're gonna be the
then at say
I actually don't know.
difficulty
I don't know if they
1,
said anything
it
about
can
launchers
drop,
yet.
You know, maybe has increased level or higher item level, some
Join
rarity.
it.
You know, now also that
Please,
when I
Armadic,
say
you have a
rarity,
good one.
also do note
Yeah, I'll be
rarity
back on in
does
like an hour or
increase the grade of items, not
Yeah,
just
that's wild.
making them yellow or orange.
They
it does
won't
make them
release it,
better
but-
yellows or better or no, not
Affects
better
the
oranges.
modifiers, right?
Separate
It
launcher,
does affect-
probably,
it affects
yeah.
other things about items than just the rarity.
Yes. And so, yeah, when I talk about just getting rarity here, I don't want people to, and PoE1 players in particular, to think, they're just going to go from yellow to more yellow. So anyway, and, you know, maybe the next tier will add a unique to the pool, like a more, you know, what we hope will be more valuable unique. And then the next one can do a bit more rarity, something else maybe, introduce a different unique perhaps. And then the last
I'm gonna go eat
difficulty
dinner.
introduces something ideally, you know, without giving away exact specifics of them, more in the line of a modular unique item, say like Megalomaniac or like Forbidden Flesh and Flame from PoE 1.
Yeah,
So
I'll
a
come
unique
back in
item
like an
that
hour or
is
two.
Lovely.
Just the normal
ideally
time.
very powerful, very chase,
We'll play a Stalker
but,
or whatever we're gonna
has a
play.
lot of different combinations.
I'm
but
gonna do
Design
a
is
normal
another
stream.
good
It's just
example,
like
right? So
this is
a new
not
series
going
of
anywhere.
jewels, is a good example. There are
It's too much info dump, and they're not really saying anything at this point anymore. Where like nothing is being retained. It's been 3.5 hours of just like information. I'm hyped, but at this point it's like it's dragging on to a point where it just doesn't make sense to keep listening to them ramble. It's not rambling, but like, you know, condense it down. And if it's new information, it's new information. But yeah, Demons vs. Prodigy. Thanks so much for the resubs. Be back in an hour or two to play whatever we play. We just gotta basically burn time until, yeah, December. Good times. Good times indeed. They're interesting, but it's just like it's been 3 hours. Like the information is just with how much of the other stuff we have to retain. So it's a bit much at this point, but yeah, I'm hyped. Good. Goodness, you're maybe. I don't know. We'll see what we play. Anyway, I'm gonna get out here, get some food, and I'll be back in a little bit. Thanks for joining Value Chambers, Epsilons, DPLs, Romantic Nukes, Kaisers, the rest. I'll be back